Welcome to episode 4. Wow, we've really put the work in. Episode 4 of the Opposition podcast. Now, I want to apologize in advance for that intro music picked by Rukshan. Now, we give him some leeway today because Rukshan actually wanted this episode to be about news and current affairs, which there's a lot happening in the country. But if you've been following what's been going on any of my social media platforms, you won't know about the rest of the noise in the country because it's all about me, me, me. Now, Rukshan didn't want anything to do with that until I sweetened the deal. Hey, Rukshan.
Yeah, look, I didn't want to.
How did I bring you across the line?
I didn't want to have anything to do with this, but I'll get to that in a second. I've actually had to, after a long time, I've had to get a book, actually buy a book. I don't even get a free copy. I had to buy this book and actually read a book after a long, long time. And yeah. And how did you get me over the line?
Sydney Watson, our guest tonight, is the only reason, way he was willing to talk about me for an hour to an hour and a half to 2 hours, whatever this goes.
And just on that, when I was reading this book, right, Sydney, this is good for you. I was actually reading it. I started reading it. I didn't realize it was a foreword. So I was just reading it. I was just like, this doesn't sound like Avi. This is very, very feminine writing. He's got someone to write this or some AI thing. And then at the end, I realized it's Sydney. Sydney,
did you just assume Sydney's gender?
Yeah, rude.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, Sydney, welcome to the Opposition podcast.
Thank you for having me. Listen, you guys are the only ones that I'm hanging out with in this context because I love you both, and I actually flew here to be with you. So there you go.
You love Rukshan?
I do.
Thank you. Is that like charity love?
No, it's that you know what? You're a butt to me 99% of the time, and he's a sweet bean. And so I have to give some, appreciation to a sweet bean. Whereas Avi and I are like in that sort of brother-sister situation where you're just a turd to me, and I just go, I'll kick you in the knees. Which I can do because you're so, close to the ground.
Okay, so let's not make you fun of me. Let's make fun of Rukshan for a second because he said he opened the book and he had no understanding of who wrote the foreword, even though it says in big bold the first.
Does it? I haven't seen
because you haven't seen it yet because you haven't bought your own copy yet.
I know,
either.
I will though, because I want to support you.
Oh no, it does say that right at the front.
Show the camera where it says forward.
Can I see?
Can they see that?
I don't know if they can see it, but it says
it's in
forward.
Big, give it to Sydney. She wants it.
I love that it starts with a giant W.
And you've even signed it off without you signing it. See the end of your forward.
Did you?
I forged your signature.
Did you?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, this feels really like official, dude.
It's a book.
Oh, look at your cute little. I would not write my name like that, but that's okay.
Yes, you would. That's exactly how you wrote it. Can I see that?
That's fantastic. You know what this looks like? This signature. It looks like when you go into Adobe and you're like, okay, all right, Adobe PDF from.
Shush. Stop giving away all the things. All right, so I know that there's thousands of people now watching, wondering where they can get the book. You said you have a little thing you can put at the bottom.
I'll put it up here.
Rebel
I was forced to do this as well. So anyway, go, say it.
You're peeking when you go that close. Okay. Do you not peek? Rebel, can you read the URL?
Yeah. So if you want to get the book, you have to go to rebelfromthestart.com and then you can follow along to the links wherever you are in the world. You can access the book from there.
Now, the reason why I'm making you read it out is because I got people calling me a grifter for writing a book. Apparently, that's a new grift.
That doesn't surprise me, given that anything that you do to advocate for yourself or explain things or, I don't know, give your life story, that is grifting. Did you not know? That's the new thing.
But even like writing a book, I think, what's her name? Any good author, they've been grifting us for years.
Yeah, all of them. Ann Coulter, grifter. I'm trying to think of some of the people from Fox. All grifters, every one of them.
I'm not even political though. I'm thinking Harry Potter. What's her name?
J.K. Rowling,
grifter. Biggest grifter in the world, successful grifter.
It's funny because when you reached out and said that you'd written this, and Rukshan, I don't know if you knew that Avi is apparently not the greatest writer in the world. I was really genuinely I loved reading this. I was actually I really enjoyed it. And then when you said, can you write my foreword? I actually got a little emotional about that. I was like, oh, friendship. friend.
Yeah, no, I have to agree.
Girlfriend.
Avi really did come through in the actual book.
Oh, this
I mean,
is what I was
good.
talking about. Let's
It's
talk
good.
about
it
how
was,
good
it,
I
was,
am.
it was very authentic, Avi. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
I agree.
if you took the videos and you put it into a book form,
Yeah.
I think that's what it would have been.
People don't realize how much ghostwriting goes on in our industry.
Yeah.
Which sounds stupid because it's like a reasonable thing to assume that a lot of people don't write their own books, and they don't. And that's fine. Some people are not very good at conveying their own language, and that's okay. And they speak to someone and maybe have them write it down, whatever. But when I read this, I was like, oh no, this like I'm reading it in your voice, like it's literally you. So that's cool.
Well, I appreciate all the love, but I want to know why she agreed to.
Yeah. Why did you agree to write it?
Oh, the foreword?
Yeah.
I think because, well, I didn't really get given much of a choice. Like, was I going to say no? What would have happened? I don't want to
We
think
would not
that.
be friends right now.
But I think it's largely because Avi was the first friend that I actually made in the political space, and you're actually one of the only friends that I still have in it. And so I was like, if this person is going to write a book about his life, I'm like so honored to be able to be the first little paragraph or a couple pages at the start. I don't know. I just thought like, why not? You're one of my closest mates and one of my oldest mates now. And I don't know, it's just touching. Really honored to be able to do it. Of course I was going to say yes. Are you kidding me?
It's very, very cute and emotional right now.
Are you going to ask me why I asked her?
No, I was just going to make a comment to people watching at home. If you want to raise a question with us, just put Q at the start so I can quickly look it up. Keep making your comments, but yeah, put Q at the start, and then that way I can track it down later on. But yeah, why did you ask Sydney Watson to write your foreword and not me?
I needed someone that can speak English.
That is true.
That didn't arrive here on a boat.
Fair call.
The funny thing is, out of the three of us, Sydney's the one with the foreigner accent.
I know. What the heck?
But really, why did I ask you? Because, you know, like it was, we met, what year was it already now? Is it
2018?
2018.
5 years
And
ago.
a lot has happened in that time.
Yes.
And it's funny because a lot of the crazy stuff that happened in my personal life that was thrown at me and continue until now, I haven't really been able to speak about. But you were kind of there. You saw before. You were there when it happened, and
Yep.
and you were, you know, in the back end at least. We were talking about it. You had my, you know, and it kind of it's funny because we were talking about this the other night. Do you remember in 2018 when you organised a rally?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What was it called?
The March for Men.
March for Men.
Yes.
And you asked me because at the time I'd been running.
You've done so many, all these
For the Australian
protests.
Liberty Alliance,
heaps of them.
first for Israel.
Mhm.
Basically, I was the only like right winger running rallies.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh, can you help me with this rally?" And I was like, looking at you, as a friend, I'm going to help you set up a rally, of course.
Yeah.
But the issue, do you remember how I was about the issue?
Yeah, I do. You were like skeptical, I guess, in a way, because also I think people forget that I started off in the men's rights space quite a lot. And I don't talk about it so much now because I'm really focused on the erasure of women, which is pretty pertinent right now. So at the time when all these things were popping off, you were never sort of super invested in the same way that I was. Not to say you didn't care. You just were kind of like, I didn't know this was a thing.
But I think to a point, like there was a certain degree where I thought, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah,
so you're
exactly.
probably, you know, the whole men's rights thing. Oh, if you've got, you know, this order or that order, or they're taking your kid, like there's probably
a reason.
a good reason.
Yeah.
And so you probably are an abusive man or whatever. And I remember seeing like you announced it on like a Wednesday, and I'd been involved in so many conservative protests before, but I couldn't believe that you announced it on like a Wednesday, and by Saturday or whatever, I think it was a Saturday that you held the rally on. It was one of the biggest conservative rallies
It was big.
I'd ever seen.
Yep.
And I was like, holy crap. Like I still, it didn't convince me on the issue until I personally went through it.
Yeah.
Then you're like, that's why there were so many people there.
Yeah.
But
that's why people care. That's why men feel so like marginalized by a lot of these issues. Yeah.
And then it happened to me. and
Yep.
you were there. I remember.
I remember telling you because I think one of the things is that, and it's funny that you say this because in reverse, I've had experiences now that I totally get where some of these like feminist types are coming from. And people act like that's that's like a problem because you have some sort of comprehension of how the other side feels about a problem and an issue because you've experienced it. So it's funny how you came to that realization, and I did too for a number of different reasons. But like when I was organizing these things and seeing these people and talking to them, and you talked to them too, you heard their stories. And behind the scenes, I was like, Avi, things pop off with your relationships if you do not fortify your situation. And unfortunately, a lot of that has to happen legally. And a lot of these things have to happen in such a way that both parties agree or whatever the case is. And I was like, just be mindful of what can happen when people don't react perhaps how they should to a situation. And you were like, no.
I was so naive. I was so naive. You know, everybody for many years told me like different things that I should have probably listened to, paid attention to. But I just never thought. I never thought unless you were actually, and that comes back to what I was just saying. Like unless you actually are an abusive, bad man.
Yeah.
I never thought. Well, you're never going to get caught up into something like that, but you do, and it's like a formula. It literally is a formula. And I know we're jumping in because it's funny. I've got like a weight off my chest. Yeah. My book is literally my life. You know a chunk of it. Yeah. Yeah. You know from that point, I guess, from that, especially that era that everybody's kind of interested in. And the funny thing is, it's such a era. Yeah. But it's such a small part. Well, a lot of my book's pretty bad, but I mean the bad part, the part that has been weaponized by my detractors over the last 4 years, that's only a tiny part of my life and a tiny part of the book. Yeah. So before we get into all that, because I'm sure a lot of the viewers, everyone's like, oh, they want to hear about that. But besides for that, you read the book. Rukshan, you've also read the book.
Yeah. I read it in one go.
In one go.
Session, yeah.
Look, a grade 3-year-old wrote it. How did you find it in general terms?
Oh, look, I mean, obviously I've known you from the protests and, this kind of friendship we've had.
I took you on charity.
Yeah, right. I've known you from that. So, but it was interesting to actually learn about your earlier life and what you've been through and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, because a lot of people tell me who Avi Yemini is. Yeah. And I know you personally.
They tell me who Avi Yemini is
so
too.
There is a lot of that, right? Everyone tells us who Avi Yemini is. And I get a lot of people like, oh, Rukshan, don't hang around that Avi Yemini. Yeah. And after I read the book, I'm like, oh, maybe they were right. Maybe I shouldn't hang around.
Why do they tell you not to hang around him? Because he might give you cuddles. You might want to.
I get all sorts of reasons. Yeah, but yeah.
I tried in the book to target, so to tell my story from literally the day I was born till essentially now, and while going through it, put into context those things that people say about me. So give the context as to why. So, a good example, I think the biggest ones I get is the woman basher, which we'll get into that in a minute. But the woman basher, the Nazi Jew, the world's proudest Jewish Nazi, and that I'm racist, bigot, Islamophobe, or whatever it was, right? And so through it, I tell the stories as to how they ended up there, because some people came there, get to that position probably from a like not a bad place. They're not bad faith actors. They've been fed this one snippet of a video, or they've been told a part of a story that I have never been able to answer until now. And so obviously if you hear that story, like if I heard that Rukshan had beat up a woman, I probably wouldn't want to be friends with him if I thought it was true, like if it was true. And so people hear that one little story. They hear that you called yourself a Jewish Nazi, and they see a little snippet that's been cut. So I tried to tell the whole story, my actual life story, and then answer those things, which I think is, were the other one, or that I killed babies or something in I'm a Zionist that killed children.
when you were in the IDF. Yeah.
So some of them are a bit more ridiculous than others, but I think I hit everything that people
Yeah, I think probably maybe too much detail sometimes as well.
Oh, you reckon? Do you reckon I went too far?
Yeah, I won't go into it. You can read it for yourself, but maybe there's a bit too much detail there.
Like graphic, or do you think I? Oh, okay.
I didn't find that.
Nah.
He's rolling me up. He wants to make me self-conscious. I was really I was self-conscious
Personal.
when I gave it to you, because I think you're one of the first people I got to read it before I showed anyone else. And like, because Rhonda read it, and she read. So for those that don't know, Rhonda's my wife. Everyone here knows, but for those of you at home, yeah, there's actually a woman that loves me, and she's probably the reason. But anyway,
Enough to marry you.
but she didn't read the last chapter. She read like up until like the 18th chapter or whatever as I was going, and she loved it. But I thought she loves it because
Because it's you.
Let's be honest, yeah, like she's weird enough to love me. Although in her defense, she said this to me in the car today. She goes, but sometimes I watch your videos and I tell you that's stupid, that's bad. So she's like a harsh critic. She's not like just going to tell me, which is a good point I didn't think of. But I just thought, I need somebody who can read it and be really like, tell me straight. And then you read it in its whole. And Rhonda wanted me to make sure that everyone knows that she didn't read the last 2 chapters, which is like the chapters that are nice to her.
Nice ones, yeah.
No, that she didn't read that before she liked it. She liked it before, which is true. She just wanted me to make that clear to everyone, so you don't think that that I bought her favor in liking the book.
You write like 2 nice chapters, and you're like, now do you like it?
She didn't actually read that till the end, but then I gave it to you, and then the harshest critic, like straight after you, was I gave it to my dad.
Oh crap!
Oh, he's brutal. You met my dad.
Yeah, I did.
He's
a trip, man. He's fun.
But he's brutal.
He's fun. It's weird because dad in the book is so different to dad in real life.
Oh, but dad when I was a kid is very different to dad now.
Well, yeah, no, you were so. Avi came out for my birthday, which was not too long ago, and what you were saying about him at dinner was kind of funny because I got chatting to him when I flew out for your wedding, which was last year. And dude, he is a trip because, I mean, I'm pretty like anti-organized religion. And talking to a man who used to be extremely pro-organized religion and is now has his own views about it, I was like, damn. It's interesting. He's a trip.
He's a wild. My dad doesn't do things in halves. I talk about it in the book. So he's either, when he was for it to an extreme, and when he's against it, he's against it, and he'll let everyone know.
Yeah.
So
there was no need to be mean though when you sent it to me because I thought I mean I would never actually no you're right I probably would have cut you off at the knees if I thought it was crap, but I didn't. No,
you were actually really like nice to me, and then I kind of didn't believe but then everyone I gave it to and now I'm happy for everyone to read it because I've read it a few times myself. It's literally the only book I've ever read. That's what I told my wife. I said, if you want me to read books, just write them about me.
Yeah, Avi.
That was a joke. But no, now I'm really.
I think it's more of an attention span issue, dude. Let's be real. Could you sit down and read a book that wasn't about you that you didn't already have pre-existing knowledge of? Probably not.
I don't know how to take that.
Can Avi pay attention for long enough to read a novel? You know, probably not.
So, have you got comments there?
Yeah, I might jump to some comments.
Jump to some comments because I feel like they might go in the direction.
I've had a few questions about your coat, Sydney.
Oh.
Do these people know that this is a session about me?
I told you. I was like, should I take it off? Is it going to be a problem?
Is it animal?
No, it's not. It's faux because I couldn't.
Really?
I love baby
Are you
animals.
a vegetarian?
No, I think the practice of like stealing an animal's like skin, which is messed up because I love leather, is a bit.
I'm a bit confused.
We call this. I just bought it actually recently while I've been visiting.
But you don't like wearing animals, but you wear leather.
I know, which I'm trying to stop doing.
Oh, you're trying to stop it?
Yes.
And Tim's written here, Sydney Watson is back. Brave girl coming back to this hellhole. Why are you back? Well, if you can share with us.
For my 30th, because I didn't want to spend it by myself, so I thought I would spend
30.
it.
How cute is that?
Yeah, it's really depressing.
How old are you, Rukshan?
I am recently turned 38.
She's 38. Look, you should be happy. You could end up his age.
I will be his age one
in
day.
many
It
years.
freaks me out to think about.
Oh
it.
wait, I'm turning 38 this
I'll
year.
jump to another comment. We got here. Dan Andrews wants a signed copy of the book. Are you actually going to send it to some politicians, your book?
Not to Dan.
Not to Dan.
Dude, I didn't let you have a free copy. What makes you think the only politician that's getting a free copy is Jacinda Ardern, because so I don't know. You know,
I'm aware of all the.
we're
yeah.
launching in New Zealand because they banned me when I went with Rukshan. Me and Rukshan rocked up to Melbourne Airport, and my passport was flagged, and I was.
You gotta have like stress flying now, right?
Nah,
Because
no. Look at it.
I
Look, it
would.
turned out well. This is why Jacinda Ardern's getting a free signed copy, is because she everything she ended up doing only grew my audience in New Zealand
And
by
helped
following
you.
New Zealand, and the book is going to get sold in New Zealand. Like it's actually #1 in Amazon books in all categories in Australia, but also in New Zealand. So thank you, Jacinda Ardern. So she earned it. You didn't earn one. That's why you didn't get a free
you should
one.
send it to Vic Paul. I feel like they've earned it, or at least a
They
commission.
They get a few
you-
mentions.
Oh,
Yeah.
you get it. You're kind of right. I might send Vic Pol one.
I think someone at Vic Paul deserves one.
Yeah.
Just by the way, just so that we're clear about the jumper, the whatever this is.
Yeah.
It's my furry plum. That actually sounds really.
That sounds like, I don't know if we can have
Well,
that.
someone actually wrote.
Is someone
Fuzzy
talking
plum.
about
They
Sydney's
said-
furry plum?
I mentioned.
Now that I say it out loud, it
They
sounds
said I
really
mentioned the
bad.
coat because it's not believable that it's cold enough in Oz to wear such a heavy coat.
Bro, it is cold.
All right. For those of you that don't know, Rukshan doesn't have much money, and there's no heating.
Yeah, maybe I should write a book.
And Griff,
I'll write your forward as well.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
will feel cheated on.
Last comment, guys, before we jump back into this. We
Yep.
got one here. It's called, they've written the Controlled Opposition Podcast.
That's what that was literally going to be our name.
Yeah, we were going to go with the Controlled Opposition Podcast, but thought it was too obvious.
Yeah, we had to keep you guys thinking a little bit.
I feel like you should just blend your names, though. I mean it. When I said that before we went live, I said, like, you really should just call this, like, Rookvi or something.
I don't want nothing to do with Rook.
Yeah, I think Rookfi is good. Rook first is better.
I just, you know,
Nah,
I
you
think,
got to start with A.
Avuk.
A book.
you know, it's... I like both. I think it's cute.
Rukshan makes a few appearances in the book. We got to bring it back to the book. That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Is this entire episode about your book?
It's 100%.
Is that what you
I'm
brought me here?
so sorry to the guests to have
This
to
is
watch this, but I apologize that we're doing this and promoting Avi's book, but this is what it is.
What was it?
What did you expect?
Get the URL up again.
I'll get the URL. What did you guys expect from Avi? We weren't here at the end of this book for a long time.
My wife actually said, Rhonda said, she's given me a month to be able to talk about the book.
And then you're done.
And then if I mention
You're
the book,
cut
I have
off.
to sleep in the garage.
She's a smart woman. She knows what she wants.
I asked her.
And
If
she knows what she does.
I asked her if we could put a bookshelf in the garage.
Dude, it's next level with you. You probably buy a bunch of your own copies and just like
Listen,
fill your own
that-
house.
Okay. Let's talk about. I'll buy my own code. Let's talk about, because I was going to say yes. I feel like I should, just so I can get the reviews up. But let's. Did you see some of the reviews?
I read them. Okay, so as soon as I saw that you'd gone live, because you lied to me and you actually went live on a different day to what I was told, which I
All
don't
right.
appreciate.
It's like
I'll
this.
bring up the reviews.
Rukshan, she obviously doesn't follow our podcast. Dates and times are fluid with us.
All right, we'll get
I
the screen
read
share up.
one. And I told you about it. I'm pretty sure I told you, like, bro, have you read this stuff? Like, how have they had time to read this?
They haven't read
And
that.
they were, dude, they're so
All right.
funny.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the first comment up here. Can I read the comments?
Yeah, you read it. You read it.
All right, this is from Kevin.
Kevin.
And 37 people found it helpful.
I think I'm one of those people.
All right, let me read it. Convicted domestic abuser tries to reframe his partner as the aggressor in terrible book. If you have too many brain cells or IQ points, this book will be a great way to remove them. Each book comes with a GoFundMe link.
So there's like a few things there. That
Okay,
he's
respond.
I want to know the 37 people that found that helpful. So,
I love that.
all right, the elephant in the room. That's the one thing, and we kind of touched on it before, that everyone goes, it's the weaponization of the story with my ex-wife.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to spoil the book, but on the record, because until now I wasn't able to talk about it. And you were there during that period when it all went down. And what I'll tell you the story. I think I can give away that part of the book because it's really nothing of the. It's like such a minor part of the book that I don't even like. It's just good to be able to talk about it finally after so many years of people calling. You know, when we go to protests and they're like, "He's a woman," but you know, every time we rock up there, they do that. I can't wait, guys. I can't wait till the next time you do that because I'm going to use that as my next sales pitch. As they're chanting there, I'm going to sell the book because till now I've literally not been able to talk about it. So this whole idea where they frame me as this woman basher is like just rubbish. It's false. Never, I won't look at you. I'm going to look at the camera. Never in my life have I ever hit a woman, let alone my ex-wife. I've never hit a woman. And I think that people that actually hit women are scum. And, you know, any real abuser is the worst person. Like, I just have no time for him. But, you know, the sad thing that this whole thing has done to me is that I think before I went through it, I did believe all women. Like, I naturally did believe all women because I think, who the hell would lie about something so horrible? Yep. And now when I hear a story, I question it. Yep. And that goes back to what we were talking about before. Now, what really happened from so in the book I explained that in Australian law, there's certain things you can and can't say even after the fact, right? But now I can talk about the general thing. When we were hanging out was when I got in between my divorce and Rhonda, wasn't it?
Yeah, you met her
while we were friends.
While we were mates. Yeah, that was cute actually thinking back on that. The way that you were like, it's nothing, it's so casual. And I was like, it's not casual.
And so at that time, I had my kids even used to come to your house.
Yeah, I mean, when we were hanging out, the kids were always around. Well, not always, but a lot of the time. Because also they would sort of be in between when we'd be going to protests and doing all sorts of stuff. They're such cute little beans, by the way. That was an odd period just because I think, and I don't know how much I can say, and I don't want to say anything out of school on this because I know that a lot of this is very private and it's still your life, but I think that the train was already in the tunnel at that point. Like, I think that things were kind of coming down the pipeline. And that's why I said to you, because I'd been in the space, hearing all these men's stories, seeing all this stuff unfold, I was like trying to gently, not even gently, I was pretty aggressively warning you, like, dude, something is coming. And I think that you are being a little bit naive in assuming that it's not.
Well, it turned out I was, because as soon as I posted, so I'd been broken up for a year and a half or so. Yep. And I had my kids, I think it was 3 out of 7 days a week. Yep. And then when I posted a photo of my, like, oh, this is my new, my new lady, you know, and she had an emoji on her face because my trolls are assholes. So you don't want to expose her to that. And next thing I know, my kids are gone. I can't see my kids. I can't. And essentially, in short, I was given an option. And the option was, the thing is, anyone that's been through it actually will understand the formula, the process that's used. It's literally repeated by so many, like women. Yep. It's a formula that's used, and I was basically given an option: plead guilty to a crime I didn't commit for a summary offense. Yep. So it is the lowest form, cop a fine, and then get to see your kids. Yep. Or fight to clear your name for 2 years or a year and a half, 2 years or whatever. And to be honest, actually COVID hit not long after. So it may have been
yeah, longer. God, I mean, think about how long that would have been. Because this happened at the end of what?
2019, I think. 2019, it was, 2019, and end of 2019.
Was it end of 2019 or end of 2018?
Dude, end of 2018. End of 2018. Sorry, I'm mixing up parts. 2018, I think.
Because then a year later, COVID started, and everything was, because even now there are men who are still in the justice system, still trying to get access to their kids.
But that's my point. Yeah. I could have still been easily stuck in it. But even without it, it meant the two choices was plead to a crime you didn't commit and essentially see your kids now, or fight it for a summary offense and not see your kids for probably around 2
However long,
years,
yeah.
or or very limited to your kids. Like you lose your relationship with your kids. It is a no-brainer, and I think any good, decent parent, mother or father, if you would take the option of pride, protecting your name over your kids, like I just didn't. I wouldn't even entertain the idea, because my kids matter more than everything in this world. So yeah, I'll cop a thing, and I knew the morning, and in the court. It's funny because in the court on that day, you had all the lefties there, and then there was the Herald Sun and the Age. The Age came up to me and goes, and I'm like, I can't talk to you. I wish I could talk to you. I would love to clear my name. But he was good enough. He actually didn't run it. It was the leader. I can't even remember his name, and he wrote, and he knew a lot of the context because he was in court.
People need to understand, though, a lot of these situations, a lot of information is actually not printable.
You're not allowed to.
Yeah,
that's Australian law. That's what I'm saying. Like in the book, I can't. So when you're vague, it's because you're not allowed to say certain things. So
because you can get held in contempt of court. There's all these rules with journalists, and so they're allowed to print some stuff, but not a lot of information. And so what people didn't realize is that the reason why you're still being vague is because there are restrictions on what you can and cannot say, and also with some of the things that were filed in relation to this, there is like a permanent gag order on that.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not allowed to talk about certain parts in this thing. And so the reporter that was there, he knows that, and obviously he can't report certain, but he knows the context. So it's very easy to tell a story and not paint the picture, and not or just ignore the part that matters, the context here that matters. Like is this an actual abuser? Like I've been called a woman basher for 4 years now. Yeah. And like that is the most horrible thing to be called, especially when you can't even answer it. Like when people used to call me a Nazi, I used to laugh it off. Like I thought that was the funniest thing. Remember, I used to walk around with a kipper to all the protests because I thought how funny it was when they called me that. You know how hard it was until now to go to protests and be called a Nazi and a woman basher, and the lefties loved it. You know, they would get their thing where they're all chanting and they would chuck that on Twitter. Before I got out my story or whatever, and they just loved it. Now that changes because now that's going to be my sales pitch to my book every single time. But it's just built on this thing that, dude, the sad part to this story is that can happen, that kids can be used as pawns to cause something like it's just and I guess like I went through this process and I met a lot of other men that would have probably been in that thing, and and even now men reach out to me sometimes. They probably reach out to you because you were a big voice in this, and they reach out to me and they tell me this story, and during the process was even times where men who didn't know what I was going through had reached out and said, like, would tell me their story and tell me how messed up it was, and I would be like, dude, you don't even know how much I know. I get what you're saying. And like I actually want to say to men out there that are watching this, that are going through that, when it first starts, just firstly take a breath, because whatever you think right now in the heat of it, I'm telling you is wrong. I know you think you're innocent. I know you probably didn't do what they're saying, but that doesn't matter. And if the next things you do can make or break your future, you can end up doing something that you didn't realize is going to ruin everything. And what you need to remember, there's a day that me and Rhonda, and I talk about in the book, that we call it the day we don't talk about. It's the day after I was charged for those bogus things, and I just broke down because I didn't know in my life. I didn't know when I'm going to see my kids again. I just couldn't do anything. And I was just lucky that I had the best support of my life. I had Rhonda there, and she just got me through it. And I look back at that time and I think it explains the suicide rate for men. Like it does.
Well, I was going to say, I remember when all that was popping off, I actually remember feeling extremely worried that you were going to do something to yourself because of how much it affected you. Because
it's the worst. I have never had. And when you read my book, you realize I've had a messed up life. Like I've had messed up times in my life.
Yeah.
nothing compares to that.
Mhm.
But what men need to understand is that it gets better. Like I know how that sounds so cliche, but actually it does, and it did. But I had to hold out there. But you were there. Go on.
No, I was just gonna say, I just remember thinking if like this could get very bad.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't want to expose all
No, it
all
doesn't.
the bits and pieces.
It all doesn't matter. Like I also say, like I'm kind of happy that there's been this time because I can talk about it with the comfort of space.
Yeah, it's like hindsight, right?
Yeah, hindsight, but it's also it lets the anger kind of go. There was probably a couple of years there where I couldn't sleep at night because I was just so angry. I've been called a woman basher for 4 years.
But you know what, dude? People will do that regardless. So like any little thing, because again, one of the most frustrating things I would say about the industry that we're in is people see this much of a story that's this big.
Yeah.
And what's so frustrating about that is whoever controls the narrative gets to basically determine how everybody feels publicly about you. And what sucks about that is that, especially when legal stuff's involved, and I know this just from what's going on with me at the moment, you are so completely incapacitated. You are not able to say anything. You can't defend yourself. You can't set the record straight. And you just watch these narratives get out of control. And it's so infuriating because you're like, I know that's not true. Or I know what actually happened. Or I know the context here. And now your name is dragged through the mud. People have this completely ridiculous perception of you that's not even representative of how you feel about things, the way that you behave. And that's why, like, even actually a girlfriend of mine who I respect a lot was like, so I know you're mates with this Avi guy, like, but I know what he did to his wife. And I was like, you don't know shit. You don't know shit. Just stop. I was like, come on, dude. I'm like, it's not, I like, Avi's my friend. I'll defend him because I was there. Like, I was there for all of this. I know exactly what was going down. So I'm like, just don't, dude. Like, meet him, talk to him, get his side of the story, and then talk to me. But like, don't just make these like random baseless claims because you have one side of an issue rather than waiting to hear the other, component to this.
I remember actually there was one time that somebody online, I think it was some lefty journalist, like they love to bring it up, you know. Like I say, they weaponized it.
Yeah.
And it's like a personal thing that they literally have no idea about. In fact, do you know in the court that day when that Herald Sun, he was the leader, which is the Herald Sun, he asked the judge, for the photos and that so they could print it. And the judge granted it, but guess what? You know what there was? There was nothing. There was no photos. There was no doctors because there was literally because nothing ever happened. It was just completely thing, and I just copped it. And being powerless, I know you say that it happens, and I have pretty thick skin. I've been called everything on the planet, but that was one that I just never want to cop because I hate that kind of person. So being called that, but also not being able to, like you say, set the record straight. And I guess that's why this book, to me, it feels like a massive weight off my chest, even though most of the book has nothing to do with that.
That's the thing is it's like such a small component. By the way, as we're sitting here, I'm like looking at this thing that you've got on screen, Rukshan, about how this book is taller than
my kids read that. They thought that was funny.
I love this though, how it says at the end of this review, the book fails to mention Avi's history of domestic violence. I love history, that's a fun word. And rampant I'm presuming drug use.
Yeah.
And you spend time explaining.
It's a lot of that. A lot of that's kind of in the book,
bro.
Yeah, I thought
these complaints about you. I'm reading some of the comments as well.
So good.
And some of the comments are along the lines of, how dare you type of, rehash your personal stuff and tell a story, or how dare you kind of explain yourself and, tell this story.
How dare I tell my story?
That type of sentiment in some of these comments that I'm reading, like I'm guessing people here trolling you or whatever.
Yeah.
So there is this thing where obviously everyone, the newspapers, everyone's calling you wife basher, chopping board, all of this stuff, right? Like full on.
Yeah.
But now they don't want to even accept that you've told
my
side of
my story.
Yeah. They don't care. Like this person's just literally saying, he's just trolling you for the hell of it, saying that.
Yeah.
Doesn't even mention this stuff.
This is one you got. Have you got that on screen?
Yeah.
That's on screen, yeah. We're just like.
So the disclaimer is that I gave him a free copy. That should be the first. That should be the first indicator that's a complete lie. Because even Rukshan had to buy a copy.
We don't even have free copies.
I asked for a free copy. Yeah, he was like,
but
no
my
way.
stepson read that because he read that to me, don't say his name, but he read that to me. He goes, the one time a book is taller than its author. And he cracked up. He goes, that's actually gold. That's so true.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good. But the rest of it's just complete rubbish. Now,
you know that they've not read it.
Yeah, they haven't read it. Well, they haven't read it because everything he says in there, or it's
crap.
They say, why don't you talk about it, when I literally spend the whole book talking about it. And I think I'm very brutally honest to the point where, like, I accept that my life was certainly not perfect, and my role in things, I think that I make that pretty clear in there. And like I guess I don't know what you're asking regarding those comments, but if they want me to those kind of people just want me to sit down and shut up and just cop the label for the rest of my life and just shut up.
It's not even you, though. There's this weird thing, right? I don't know if you guys have noticed this when you have a following and you have people that strongly dislike you. There's this really bizarre thing that they do where on one hand, people, and even sometimes fans and followers do this, and this is a little confusing. They say, tell us the story, give us the information. And you go, okay, I will. And then when you do it, they're like, no, don't expose that. Why are you telling us this? It's personal. But you asked me for, I don't get it. What do you want? I'm very conflicted about what I'm supposed to be doing, because if you don't give the information, you're a liar. You're somebody who didn't tell the truth. You twisted things. You weren't honest about what was transpiring, whatever. But if you do, then you're exposing too much and you're giving too much away, and you're giving people's information to the public. And it's like, you can't have it both ways. You got to pick a lane. Either we keep people's lives private and it's none of your goddamn business what they do, regardless of how bad or good it is. Or we are honest about some things that are going down. We try to give the full picture. Like, you can't have it both ways. Pick a lane. Yeah.
You know what? Actually, thinking about what he was also saying is, like, to those people that are saying, why are you anything? I'd say, you haven't read the book. Read it.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say to anyone that's off this podcast is saying, why would you be talking about it? I'll go, look, I'm not articulating it as well as I feel like I did in the book, because in the book I sat down, thought about it, clear head every day. It took me almost a year. I'm a slow writer.
This took you a year?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You're off. Your mic's down.
Sorry, my mic's back.
It's actually better with your mic off.
I'm back. So one of the questions was, what was the motivation to write the book, Avi? And just on that, are you writing this book like to clear your name? Like, what's your?
Well, the subtitle is to set the record straight, and I think that, you know, like we said, there's all these names that have been thrown at me. The worst one, the one that cuts deep, is the woman basher. Just for obvious reasons. The other ones, like I said previously, reasons why they don't affect me as much. But it's to set the record straight about who I am, because we've been told, I get told, my wife gets told who I am. Like, you get told who I am. So the motivation is, I want people to get an insight of who I am from me. The newspapers tell everyone who I am. Everybody's always talking about me. I want you to have a chance. If you want to, if you're not doing this in bad faith, I'm not saying blindly believe whatever I say. I'm saying you've read everything they've said about me for years. Now I'm going to tell you in one hit my story from the beginning, which you can get at, this is your cue to
pull it up.
Put the website.
You can get the book at the Rebel from the Start.
Rebel from the Start. There's no the. Did you put a the in the beginning? At Rebel from,
yeah, get the book at Rebel from the Start.
Yeah, there's a there in the middle.
Is there a there?
There's no
rebel.com.au. Just .com.
This is a problem with immigrants.
Get the book at grifterfromthestart.com.
rebelfromthestart.com. And you know what I actually say to people is, at the end of it, like, read it, and because a lot of people are getting angry about these, and I think Amazon's taken down a few because they were stopping people from even. There was like a war, actually, and you can't. This brings back a memory. There's a war on this Amazon reviews. Right?
I want to look. I'm going to go to Amazon.
Amazon was stopping reviews, and it was stuck at just haters. Now they've kind of deleted a bunch, but there was a war on the reviews, and I told people, my followers, I go, please don't react to the fake reviews with more fake reviews. read the book. I really just want genuine reviews, genuine feedback. Like if you think it's crap, if you think whatever, at the end of it, write it. But if you think it's good, and let people read a real review, because I think it comes across a lot more genuine than this. I don't know how many bad ones are left.
I'll read this one. What did the poor trees do to deserve this?
Aw.
You'd think a cooker ought to know how to write a cookbook.
What's a cooker?
Cooker?
Hold on.
What's a cooker?
A cooker.
Yeah.
So it's a derogatory term to like the conspiracy theorists is how it started. They're like cooked.
They're
cooked in the head.
Oh my God. Okay, this makes sense. Because I said to my mom the other night, I was like, oh, that's cooked. And she's like, Sydney, what do you think a cooker is? And I was like, I don't know what you're saying. That's just somebody who makes cakes. I don't know. A
But
baker?
you know, what I was Sydney, remember that time that I had a Wikipedia page?
Yes, and I wrote it for you.
Dude. So and do you
Sorry, I
remember?
didn't
So
mean to shout.
this just reminded me of it all, because you know how there was a war. Do you remember there was a war on the Wikipedia?
Yes, and they were like, sorry, I don't want to peek your mic. And they were saying like backing and forth thing, like, no, he's yes, it matters. Like people need to know about this stuff.
And then what happened?
And then they deleted it.
And they banned Yemini from Wikipedia. But
do you know what's
guess what happened 2 days ago?
They brought it back.
Somebody's opened a Wikipedia. And I was meaning to contract you. And this just reminded me because of the war.
I think I still have all that saved. Because by the way,
you need to go on there and fix it. I don't know if it's bad. I
went. Oh my God, I went like deep. I like and I referenced everything, and I like did all the Wikipedia is hard to write. Just by the way, that was really confusing. My brain did not cope with that. I like referenced everything. So when I was reading their stupid little argument, they were like, meh, 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 meh. I'm like, I know this is rock solid. Like I tried really hard. I'll cut all of you. I didn't even write my own wiki page. I still don't have a wiki page, and I wrote yours.
You wrote mine, and it got cancelled because of the war.
I'm gonna go fix it.
And now I'm not saying it's bad. I just noticed today there's a new Wikipedia.
It's because you wrote a book.
Because I wrote a book.
Because now you're official.
Do you know, Rukshan? Do you know now when I wake up and like I come see the kids they're in the kitchen making breakfast? Do you know what I make them say?
What?
Good morning, esteemed author.
Oh my God.
Bestseller. The kids are like, they're so angry.
When I saw that you had written a book, I was like, I can probably publish a book one day now. I think there's hope. After I saw
I've really set the
after I saw
bar's
Avi
low.
publish a book, I'm just like, oh, everyone can publish a book in the future. Is that an insult?
I wonder if this.
That's almost as hurtful as woman fashion.
Oh no! It's like legit. It's like normal.
It's not bad. Is it?
Avraham Shalom Yemini is an Australian right-wing political activist, commentator, and internet personality. He has worked for Rebel News since 2020 and is currently works as someone actually. It sounds like they wrote this that they don't hate you.
All right, we're gonna track down this person.
Oh my God!
I've got one fan on Wikipedia.
Dude, maybe it's from someone who read your book, because now there's information. They did the thing.
Wow.
Yeah,
because I just saw that it was there, and it made me think of that time. I think I literally saw it an hour ago, and I'm like, oh my God, because Wikipedia, like, you could not have Avi Yemini because it created like the Middle East conflict on Wikipedia. It was hectic.
Well,
okay, so this guy says, why do the trees deserve this?
All right, so the cooker, yep, all right.
But no, zero recipe. I actually, did I not have a recipe in there? I didn't.
I kind of wish you'd included one now.
Yeah. Rhonda could have. She's the
Dude, it's so weird because, again, like even just briefly looking at my Amazon to look at the mean reviews, it's so clear that they've not read it because they'll say like, you didn't include this, this, and this. And it's like, he literally
the
did.
whole book's like the parts that they say, like the drug use. Like I think that's maybe what Rukshan's saying. I went too far because I literally described it to.
Yes, you did.
Like, do you know after writing that, like anyone that's who was a drug addict, young, like it was kind of difficult because at the end, like you're still an addict.
Yeah.
Like an addict is always an addict, and you kind of when I wrote that. You have to kind of live it and remember it. Yeah. And it was quite intense. As in, you know. So I really went into the drug use. So I just find it funny. And it's obvious they didn't write it because these guys, they didn't read it because they wrote the reviews the day literally as I posted. So they couldn't have got, I ordered it before I showed everyone. So I got the first one.
I always find, okay, maybe this is just like a Sid opinion. I've always really found it incredibly irritating when people go and negatively review, both on the left and right, when they go and negatively review like restaurants or businesses or whatever. Like, you don't have to agree with the politics of whatever institution. Just don't do this. Like, it's just so not helpful. So like, this is unhelpful. Like, they don't have to like you. They can hate your guts and actually think that you're a POS and like want to kick you in the shin. That's fine. But why are you leaving a review for a book you've not even read? What if it was the greatest book in history and they hate your politics? It's so stupid to me.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, I think my haters, besides the fact that I get
Share
paid
like
for
a brain cell.
but I think my
Hive
haters
mind.
should be the ones to read it. Although, like, all these guys commenting that hate me that much that they feel like they have to review it. I bet you they all bought copies.
They 100% did.
Like, they want to read it.
They like hate read. This one's dumb from Lucy. Could be better. It's not bad for a pop-up coloring book. Lucy, sit down, please. Like, seriously, my 2-year-old enjoyed it. Lady, I didn't even know you could string words into sentences. I'm impressed you could write a comment as
Stop
it is.
neglecting your 2-year-old to write harsh
Exactly.
That's true.
1-star reviews on Amazon. And what time was it done? Does it give us a time? That must have been done while your kid was hungry and crying.
Yeah. The child's in the corner screaming while you write angry Amazon reviews. Christ. One person found it helpful though, so that is a benefit. Good job, Lucy. Nice one.
I think that was me again.
Did you really just go through and like them all? I should do that now.
But I had to tell my followers because I was getting heaps of messages at Amazon, like a screenshot. You actually sent me one too.
Yeah.
And they're like, I tried to review it.
And they
And they stopped all reviews. And I said, just wait, order it, read it, and then give a proper review. Because one, you'll be a verified reviewer. And secondly, it'll read genuine. Like, I want to hear I actually do want real feedback. And if somebody actually found it bad, a bad read or whatever, like, I'm happy to read that review and take it on. Like, I'm actually one of the only people I know that in this industry that is really happy to take on real criticism because that's how I grow.
Yep.
And you've always been one to give it to me.
That's true. That's true. Honestly, one of the things I actually regret most, funnily enough, about in the time that we've been friends, I don't regret a lot. One of the things I regret most is after we had an event, like a pub night, and you were just being a turd. You were just kicking off about like old people. And I was like,
so drunk.
And I was like, you should apologize. Like, I think you offended people. And I regret that so much because you know what? If people were offended by what you said, that's a them problem.
Because I remember
not
what
a you problem.
I remember what it was. It was.
Like that. I just feel gross for doing that to you, and it's like embarrassing thinking back on it. Because now I'd be like, apologies are for boring people who have faces.
Look, I think if you actually do something wrong, then apologize. Like,
sure, or own it if you do something crappy, which we all do. Sometimes it's like,
but that was like banter. That was me. Like,
I know
we had beers, and I was making fun because we had an age limit.
I know,
and I was bantering, like making fun of old people, like we didn't want old people.
I know.
Now the sad thing is, I'm one of the old people we would have banned from it. So it's coming back to bite me.
You're not. Oh my God, that's so true. Because I think the cutoff was like 35.
I think it was 35, and I was like 34. I think I did it right at my cutoff.
This is why everything's so grim as you age, dude. Like, I nearly had a meltdown the other night on my birthday because I was like, I'm not ready.
You're 30, Sydney. Sit down.
You know what? People have been
sit down.
People have been aging me on the internet for like the last 5 years.
What is aging you?
They'll say like, and all these websites say my birthday's the wrong date. Like all of
it's
Dude,
all
wrong.
These websites say I'm a millionaire, and Rhonda's been looking for the money.
I love that when you look at your earnings and you're like, holy crap, I made $500,000. That's crazy.
I got so excited.
Where is that?
I got so excited, and I tried to buy something, and they said, well, we need proof of income. I said, look at this website.
Yeah. Give me the Rolls Royce.
I tried to give it to
Well, a lot of the comments here are saying, Sydney, that you're a millionaire. Is that true?
Apparently. I would like to see this. I would like to see this income.
Highly paid.
Dude.
That's why she's on controlled opposition.
This is why when it's funny because like on, Subscribestar, when Patreon was a thing and all that, and people are like, I'm not going to give you money because man. And it's like, You literally probably earn more than me. Like, on a serious note, like the majority of people I would say do, because this is a thankless, loveless industry. It's just one where
Yeah.
it's like YouTube will just cut all your funding and you're like,
Oh.
cool.
Do you know what?
Great.
It's the thing I learned, because I cop it a lot, and I've got no worries
About money?
about like crowdfunding, because our whole
Oh,
business
yeah.
model is crowdfunding.
Yeah.
And I've got no shame. I've got no problem doing it because I believe in what we do, and I think actually we're worth it. Like, I get paid way less than people who do, who I believe have far less value to society.
You like sit in studios. And, yeah.
But no, I'm saying like some of the people complaining,
Yeah.
they probably earn more than me, and they do hardly anything in life to change the change the world.
Yeah.
But anyways, even if it wasn't, like, I just think if your audience is, if they feel like they're getting something valuable out of it, and they're willing to either fund you or fund whatever things your projects you're running, then why are you so dirty about it? Like, why are you so butthurt? There's so many of them that are butthurt about the fact that we crowdfund. Like, like our whole business model is literally Rebels is crowdfunding.
Mm-hmm.
We're viewer funded. We make nothing on ads. We make it's viewer funded. So yeah, I ask the viewers to fund it, and if you don't want to, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, but I find it funny, and then they never draw the line, and for them now, even the fact that I spent a year writing a book, or a bit less than a year, like that's a lot of work. Like, the amount of money that I'm going to get paid per hour for this book is not very high, but it, like, to me, it's beyond that. It's worth it's that I finally get to tell my story, and in a, you know, in a way that I'm happy that it's told, instead of mumbo jumbo or whatever. I mean, instead of me sitting here and blabbering and screaming into the mic.
Maybe I'll jump into some more comments.
This is Rukshan trying to shut me up. Censorship.
No, so in your book, you obviously speak about a little bit about your time in the military as well. Yeah. In the IDF in Israel.
Yeah, why are you asking me like you haven't read the book? You literally, I forced you to read it last night.
I actually took the PDF of the book. I put it into Chat GPT and I told it to give me a summary. And
you did not. Did you?
No, I read the book.
Oh my God. I was going to say, if you can do that.
I thought about doing that.
He sent me a message at 1:36 a.m.
Yeah.
No, because you sent me a message at one, and then you said 1:36 a.m. Just finished it.
Yeah.
And then and you actually sent me a love heart.
Yeah.
Aww.
I sent a love heart.
There was a love heart in there. Hold on. Can I read it?
You can read the message.
Rukshan, you got to, which phone? Oh, it's this one. Where is it? Oh, here. So it was 1:26 a.m. Finished the book, laughing face. Started at 8 p.m. So for those of you work out the maths, from 8 to 1:26, was that 4.5 hours it took him to read?
Yep. No, 5.
4.5.
What time do you start?
From 8 to 1:26. Is that 4?
5.
5.5 hours.
What's 8 plus?
4? Oh yeah, 4, 5, 5.5.
Yep.
Okay, maths was not my strong suit, but English was even lower. Then he goes, "Thanks for the write up," and love heart would have been the easiest part to write, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be so hard to write about just, how amazing I am.
That's
he was pretty. He gave you a pretty glowing.
Yeah,
that's why he gave me a love heart. But he said that would have been the easiest part to write. It was actually the hardest, but I needed to be diverse.
At least you got included, man. I just got like a cliff note.
I know, and you wrote the foreword.
And I wrote
you got
the foreword.
raw end of the deal.
Do you know what my favorite paragraph is?
What?
Oh, I want to see if I can find it.
Think about it.
Yeah, I'll read it. It's Rukshan's also in it. I know which chapter it is. Go, you do that, and I'll wait. I'll look at it.
All right. Tony says, "Stop making Sydney uncomfortable." RV, FFS. Is he making you uncomfortable?
He doesn't really. I'm so used to this. It's like I just
Wait, what are they referring to? What would be considered as to me making you uncomfortable?
I think just in general, probably.
Sydney, do I make you uncomfortable in general?
Nah. I've been around a lot of people in the last last
You're not
year
sounding convincing.
who've made me feel extremely uncomfortable, and trust me, man, you are not one of them.
Someone's saying the book's not available in Canada.
It is available in Canada. If you follow that link on thing, it is definitely available.
You sure?
Wouldn't it be ironic though if Rebel, who's based in Canada, didn't release the book in Canada?
Well, actually, it's a funny story because basically Amazon's a funny thing, and people go, "Oh, why are you putting on Amazon?" It's like, all right, you find me something that can distribute books as easy as Amazon, and I will use it. Especially if they hate Amazon, I'm in. But each Amazon store has a unique link, right? So when you go to our Rebel from what was it? Rebelfromthestart.com, and if you click buy the book, what it actually takes you, and that's why it takes a few seconds to load. It works out where you are, and it goes to that local store, because otherwise you've got to link to only one store, to the Australian store. So then if you're in Canada, it'll take you to the Australian store, and then it'll tell you that it's not available. Amazon doesn't actually naturally do that. So there is in Canada. It does work in Canada. There's heaps of people that are getting it in Canada. So just go back there. Otherwise, go to the Amazon store in Canada directly and do it there. All right, let me find this one. I'll tell you why. I think it's you'll know why you're mentioned in it. It's about being a racist.
Oh my god. We're gonna wait for him to find this now.
No,
yeah,
you find another comment. You don't have another comment.
Maybe I'm a diversity writing. I've been telling people that if I'm in the book, it's for diversity.
Why? He's brown enough.
Is he brown enough? Okay.
Yeah.
He can pass sometimes.
Maybe you're like the skilled one. He needed someone of who has actual intrinsic artistic value. And so he wrote what he wrote about you. I think is quite sweet.
Yeah, it's quite.
But
nice.
it was honest. Rukshan is he deserves everything I wrote there. He does.
I was saying
people are saying we're talking about Avi too much. I'm so sorry.
That is literally
we have no choice
guys,
today.
did you not watch the intro? Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Anyone watching this whole episode is pretty much about Avi.
If you're not happy, you can go to rebelfromthestart.com and get a book.
I'll say this to divert from Avi for a second. Yeah. When my family, when I said to them, and I said this to you guys before, but I'll tell the audience and tell the viewers. When I said that I was coming to hang out with you guys and come on your pod and everything, they all got really excited, and I didn't know that they knew who you were, and the way that everyone kept pronouncing your name was so cute. Rukshan. And I was like, it's wrong. You're saying it wrong. And then I was like, am I saying it right? But I've heard Avi say it, and he calls you Rukshan.
Rukshan, yeah.
And I was like, you guys are saying it wrong. But they're like, he's so awesome. We watched his stuff, and it's so good. And I'm like, I love that now there's two insane people in Australia that everyone can follow, because it was just Avi who was sort of monopolizing for a really long time. And then I moved away. And now there's two of you, but apparently my family loves you more than they love Avi in that context.
Yes.
So apologies, Avi.
I've heard that
just
a lot.
putting you in your place there a little bit, mate.
A lot of it, people. I literally can't find that. My favorite thing. I should probably find out where it is. Anyways, rebelfromthestart.com. You can figure it out and let me know what.
Look, I'm gonna throw a curveball out there from one of these comments. It says, "Avi, apologize to all Muslims and start fresh."
Read the book.
Yeah.
Read the book. I actually talk about, I guess, my delivery on stuff. I'm not I don't think I apologize for things like that. But I think my view on, I think the pandemic. I talk about it in the book, and I talk about how before COVID, I did think that Islam was the biggest threat to democracy and the ideology. It was never about the people, but. Then COVID hit, and I saw the Muslim community were actually our frontline defense against the tyrannical government, and that was one of a few things that shifted my view a little bit about certain things like that. And when I say about that, I mean probably about the way I executed some of my grievances at the time. And the other thing that did it was Donald Trump's peace deal. In the Middle East, which gave me hope, that realizing, okay, there is a way for people to believe these ideas and ignore, because that's what I couldn't understand, is how do you ignore some scripture that tells you just to hate me? That was my problem, because it literally says it in black and white. Now you can say also so what I've realized now is those that don't want to believe that, they'll just turn around, well, we actually call Jews the people of the book, and ignore the bad stuff it says, right? Which is fine, but I wouldn't have believed it, because in practice, until Trump's peace deal, the Abraham Accords. I've been to Islamic countries as a Jew before, and there was nowhere, even those that were in, peaceful things with Israel, you didn't feel it. But nowadays, like I go to the UAE and you're the king, like they love you if you're Jew. Not only are they okay with you, they love you. And that was eye-opening. So those two things changed it. Now, I don't need to be sorry to them. I'm probably sorry for myself but it was a learning thing for me. And I literally talk about it in the book. So I would encourage, what's their name? Read the book and see how I talk about it.
I think the Islam thing's challenging though, because I think I don't think you're wrong. I don't think anyone's wrong to suggest that Islam in and of itself is a pretty corrosive religion. And I believe that. But maybe it's the same principle with like Christianity, for example. You have a lot of Christians who aren't following the book to the letter. Not that Christianity is as invasive as Islam, because Islam has like a lot of books and a lot of scripture that tells you precisely how to behave, and it is violent. It's a violent book. Like, let's be real. But like, even I've had this conversation with my boyfriend a lot because he's a Christian and I'm not. And I have a lot of issues surrounding religion. I have a lot of like very negative feelings about religion.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, but there's a lot of people who don't follow this to the letter. There's a lot of people who just have a personal relationship. The version that they're following, though, they call it Christianity. Maybe it's not down to the letter. Maybe it's the same thing for some Muslims who are
It
like,
is. I follow, what I reckon.
but not really.
Well, what I've learned is that I think now, looking at it, is that the majority don't practice it to the letter.
I mean, that's the thing is like how many, they call them extremists, right? In any religion or radicals. How many radicals are in each religious group? And I would be interested to know that because like I would determine maybe it's the evangelicals who follow Christianity down to the wire. Yeah. And it's probably the same thing for Islam. Like how many actually?
I think at the end of the day, it would be good to have these kind of conversations with Muslims that practice, believe in it.
You should find someone and invite them on.
No, we will, but like have these conversations in a friendly way, not the combative way I probably used to do it.
Yeah.
But again, the reason why I was probably so combative back then is because of those. Well, I didn't have those two experiences. I thought democracy was just under threat from them, and even now, I'm seeing now, Muslims are also the first line of defense. Muslims and Christians, the first line of defense against some of the craziness we're seeing in this drag stuff, and like with it.
So in Canada, wasn't that?
I literally come from a different position now, but at the same time, if you're open to talk about these things, come and sit here and let's talk about some of those scary things that, and it's fine if you can tell me that you're going to ignore that. That's fine. The issue I had back then, especially, was that I was seeing so much Jew hatred, and it still is so widespread. Go to any like.
It's a lot of it in the States. Like a lot in the States. It's
about that, you're talking about right wing or
from the right.
We see that in the right wing now as well,
but it's just general in America. Like people talk about anti-Semitic. I know you say you hate the word anti-Semitic. Well, give me an alternative.
Well, just Jew hatred.
Okay.
Like
people. Okay.
I think they've killed the word anti-Semitism because they put it on everything, and it's just like
it's like Islamophobia or transphobia.
Exactly. So it's lost its meaning, and I think like
there's a lot of it though. Like and I'm not just talking about like the sort of far right position, which is that all Jew bad. There is a lot of it just generally in the States, which was so strange when I moved because I was like, what is this preoccupation with? But maybe it's because there's a way bigger Jewish population. So maybe it's just more obvious because there's a bigger Jewish population.
Well, I think also it's because a lot of the elitists are Jews. Is like they're overrepresented in like Hollywood and in media and in banking. So that's where all the conspiracy theories stem from. But
why are people getting bashed up in the street because they happen to be Jewish?
The funny thing is they're the wrong Jews. They're like, they bash the Jews they hate the Jews that they say they hate Jews. Like anyone you target that's innocent is the wrong person to target, you idiot. Yeah. But what I'm saying is a lot of these people were like we did the other week when it was the Nazis and Antifa, and they both hated Jews. I was like, you guys should join your protest. You're literally they
Two
they
sides of the
both
same
one
coin.
one of them was protesting Free Palestine, and the other one went and joined the Free Palestine. But the point is that
That's so funny.
I don't remember what my point is, but it was a good point.
Oh, you're saying that they're over the Jewish people are
Oh,
or
so
people
that's
who are Jewish
so
are
yeah,
overrepresented.
so they're overrepresented in those things, which is not necessarily. It's like there's a bunch of reasons to explain.
Dude,
it.
Americans are overrepresented in
everywhere.
in everything.
Yeah, so we should hate Americans. That's true.
Well, a lot of people do for this exact reason. This is why when you go abroad, people hear the American accent and they're like, I'm serious.
But I think like what you need to do, and I've learnt this, and I think what I regretted, and I think I write about it in the book, is I can see how Muslims probably felt targeted by my style, as in that it was them I had a problem with, instead of wanting to challenge some of the ideas. And now it's easy to look back and go, okay,
yeah,
I executed it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot easier to do it now because I feel like things have changed, things have shifted.
You've mellowed out a lot.
Yeah, but I
That's
also
another thing too, and your delivery's gotten better. You used to just like run into everything.
Like it was like a fight. Everything was like a fight.
Everything. Okay, Rukshan, you weren't around for this, but
No.
what he would do, Avi would be like, "I see a barrier, I'm gonna run at it," and then he would hit it. He'd be like, "Ugh, why did that happen?" And then he'd do it again and again and again, and it'd be like,
You know, Rhonda calls me Homer Simpson. Ow, ow.
Yeah.
I've already seen glimpses of it.
dude, it
I know.
was so bad. And like, I am way more like relaxed and cautious. Like, I'm so much more cautious compared to you. And that's what my foreword's about, is like basically me describing when you would go barreling in and I'd be like, oh my God, dude, don't do that. Come back. And he's just been like this since day one, just like ready to just try to smash through everything, run into all the walls, all the barriers, and then be like, why is that there? Someone should move that.
Yeah.
Someone should really move that.
Yeah, in your forward, I think I had a similar experience to you, what you described in your forward,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of seeing Avi, the antics that he gets up to. I call it antics, but that kind of courage, that kind of bravado that, you know, you don't naturally have sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a bit more shy with the police, and I'm a bit more, you know, can I please do this type of thing?
Your wife
permission.
isn't.
There were occasions where we were in I think Davos or somewhere like that, and I think it was at the World Health Organization, and the cops are coming up to us, and the guard, they were saying stuff, and they'd tell us to move the cameras, and I'd move the camera. But Avi would be like, "What are you doing?
Yeah, he'd
keep
be
the
like,
camera
"No,
on them. Don't
no."
move it."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that attitude to understand what that is about in this type of journalism.
Mhm.
I think it's important
Yeah,
because
I do too.
there is this natural tendency for us today to respect authority, which is very important. But sometimes when authority is doing the wrong thing, we have to also stand our ground as independent journalists. And I think that's kind of, if I'm going to say one nice thing about Avi, that's what I've learned from Avi, is sometimes you actually have to know your place as a journalist and stand your ground as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Benji, that's real. You cut that and you play it in replay. The nice thing that Rukshan. Do you think after reading the book, though, because I get that you look at that. Do you see how I got to that?
Yeah, I understand how you got to that after reading the book, because I've thought if you go through what you went through when you were younger, and it's particularly the family dynamic that you grew up in as well.
Yeah.
That is how you would end up as, like, you naturally would end up as a person with that type of characteristic in those type of situations.
Yeah.
Particularly the not having that very kind of basic fear of authority.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us have that respect for authority naturally, but I think you perhaps lost that at a very early age.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. I mean, Christ, dude, growing up as like one of 17 kids, there's not a lot of room there to be quiet. Because I mean, think about it, right? If you were quiet growing up, you never would have been noticed.
You wouldn't be noticed. Honestly, you could. There was like rules in our house, and I didn't really write that part. Like there was rules in our house of like, dinner time.
Yeah.
And if you missed dinner time, you missed dinner.
That was
You could have fruit. Like, yeah, we like.
Dude, the story in the book about the fruit tree in the back, I was like,
Oh, my
bro.
mom.
This is one of the things, and I don't want to rub your little shiny head and make you feel good about yourself. But I really, even if I didn't know you, I really enjoyed reading about your life, because how many bloody people are from a family like that? Not very many. Like, Christ, I don't know how many people can have 17 kids and like live to tell the tale. Like, that's a lot of children.
It kind of sounds not real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you meet them all and you're like, oh shit, they all look the same.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Have you met?
I've met some of them.
Oh, you met them at my wedding.
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah, you've met heaps, haven't you?
I met a bunch, and when like I got when we got detained and you got sent back from the States, I was like calling your brother like, bah! Like, help, and he was like, I can't do anything. What do you want from me? No, but this is the stuff though that it's my takeaway from all this is that the book is endearing. It makes you endearing, even though a lot of it is kind of brutal and some of the stuff in there is like, damn.
But do you think it's honest or
yes, and I think that again. And I put this in my foreword when I was reading it. It didn't strike me as, oh, I just want to make money, or, oh, I just want people to like me, or, oh, I just, I want to do something political with this. It was like, yep, I have done some stuff. I have had a very strange life, and I'm just going to tell you all about it. And if you like it, you like it. And if you don't, you don't. And so be it. And
I'm actually happy that that's how you take, because that's how I wrote it.
That's how it came off to me.
Is that how you?
I think I
took
said
it?
that in my notes.
Yeah,
too.
that's how I took it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like chaotically RV.
It really was.
The book.
Yeah.
Oh, like what do you mean?
Like, it was just chaotic.
It was even the way it was written, like even the structure is chaotic.
Because
like,
it was chaotic. Yeah, it got more and more chaotic.
Yeah, I know.
But is that a bad thing?
No, you were trying to say chronological, but it like
I guess
just
that.
got. But even then, sometimes it like wasn't, and I was like, okay, it's easy
because
to
I had
follow.
a thought in middle, because like I'll be like, because it would like, and that's the thing. I read it back, and then I would go, oh crap, you know, like the whole fact that I missed the whole Jim Jeffries story.
I know.
You reminded me, like, where's Jim Jeffries? I'm like, crap. But even now, like as I'm talking to you about my life, I'm like, I forgot that little thing that, when we were kids, it was like you had dinner at dinner time, and if you missed dinner, like because for my parents it was just impossible. You can't. If anyone that has kids, I'm the only one here in the room that has kids, but
Give
like
me a few years.
Yeah, when you turn 30. But anyone that has kids, if you don't have that structure, like kids will come all day and all night and eat. They're always hungry. Yeah. So when you have 17, you've got to make like, these are the rules, these are the times.
What was dinner like though? Because my mom's 1 of 9, and she said that every night they would all sit around the table, and my grandma's table in her house is freaking massive.
Yeah.
Like they used to extend it out, a massive table for everybody.
Yeah.
Was it like that for? Did you all eat together?
No,
like,
so we had there was a massive table because every weekend is the Sabbath, so we also had guests, a lot of guests. So we would typically, I think, on average, including kids, we probably had 40 people at Friday night and Saturday. So dinner and lunch for the Sabbath, and then all Jewish holidays, something similar, right?
I'm presuming all the girls did the cooking.
Yeah, mum and the girls helped. Yeah.
Yeah. Because and
then we all had dishes. Like we all had like chores. Like there was a chores list that would rotate every week. Oh, these are such funny things that I'm thinking about. But we also, like, our house. It was 5 kitchens because of the kosher thing.
Yes, because you mentioned.
I mentioned it, and then, but so 2 of the kitchens, the ones that we used for breakfast and dinner every day, had like a kind of a dormitory bench built into it where we would all sit lined up. And the thing would come up, the roller serving thing would come up, and
like a canteen.
Like a canteen.
Dude, as you're talking, I remember the first and only time I've ever like really had a bunch of Jewish food was with you, and you took me to, I can't remember the place. It was like a Jewish bakery. And I said to you, I was like, are we going to get Jew bread? And you were like, yeah, we're going to get Jew bread. And that was the first and only time I've eaten it. And I can't remember the name. It was so good, man. I was like, this is great. Yeah, that's just what you reminded me of, talking of your canteen. All right, so you had your canteen.
Yeah, and we would sit like on the table. You'd all sit like it's up against the wall, almost like a table built out of the wall. Yeah. And we all sat there, and that was dinner. And like
so you did sit together.
Yeah, but not like, we didn't sit around a table. Yeah. It was like you're up against a canteen. Like, yep, have your dinner. That's your serving. Yep, and you're done. And put, whose night is it to do dishes? And dishes were like we had dishwashers since we were little, like 3 dishwashers. It was an entire operation. Like growing up, for my parents, it's mad to think I've got, I struggle with 4, and my parents had 17.
I can't believe it, man.
Hectic.
Dude, I got a couple friends that are like up to, and they're young too. Like they're early 30s, and they're up to like 6 kids. One of them.
6 is so mad.
And I'm like, bro, like what the heck?
My brother's got 10.
Oh my God.
Yeah, my brother's got 10.
How do you?
Like 8. Like I've got like I think I got 53 nieces and nephews already.
Dude, when I used to tell people like, oh yeah, I'm like one of 30 cousins, people would be like, what? Oh no, I think there's 32 of us, 32 cousins.
Yeah. Oh, from your mum's side.
Yeah, and they'd be like, what? Like that's so many. I have 1, and I'd be like, and to me that was so normal. For you, it's like exponential. It's
madness.
So, oh my God.
Madness.
So I actually have a question. I know that you love talking about yourself, so this is fine. I'll just pepper you with questions.
Are we copying? Are we still copying? Is everyone hating on it that this is the Avi episode?
Nah.
Put them the link if they need somewhere to buy more.
Buy more books.
So how many sets of twins are in the family?
None.
I thought there was 1 set.
No. 20 years, 17 kids.
Individual pregnancies.
Yes.
How old was your mom when she started? Why did I think there was a set of twins?
There's no set. You just added a chapter to the book. She just added. She might have bought the fake version from China.
Dude, your mom spent like
20 years. She had 4 miscarriages too. So she was 20 years pregnant.
Yeah, like nonstop.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what they say? They go, when you're breastfeeding, you can't get pregnant. Your mom's like, I know that's a lie. Bold-faced lie.
I wonder, because I think I asked about, I don't know if she did breastfeed. I don't think she breastfed.
Okay, maybe not a bold-faced lie.
I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to fact check that with mom.
How old was she when
I did a long form
started?
interview with my mum. With a bunch of my siblings. I did interviews when I was in Israel, and I was like, when it comes to book.
Yeah.
That's why in my promo, I put a couple cuts. But I got long form.
That's cute.
And I talked to my mum, and I really tried to squeeze her to tell everyone that I'm the favorite. Because she always, and I said in the book, she always used to tell me when I was a kid that I was her favorite. And that I was like...
She said that to you?
Yeah, she used to always say that to me when I was a kid. And I believed it. And like I used to walk around with straight... And then when we were older, like...
Oh my God.
I said to my siblings...
You're not supposed to Sophie's Choice your kids. You're not supposed to pick one.
Yeah, but my mum was a scam artist because then I found out when I used it against my siblings, but I was Emma's favourite. And they're like, no, you weren't. I was.
Oh, no.
She told everyone.
All of them.
She was the
Smart
master.
woman.
She had us
Smart
all
woman.
believing her. Like I always thought, like I always had this thing in me, like, I'm Emma's favourite.
It's just
But
a
I do,
lie.
like I still think it. I know they tell me, but I still, but that's probably because I'm arrogant.
Does she act like now as an adult? Does she like, Avi, my little boy?
She laughs.
She's-
My mum's actually good banter.
She probably actually does have a favorite. She just would never admit to it. Never.
I don't know.
I think everyone's got a favorite child.
When
And
my mum's
parents
in
will say,
Australia, we'll bring her on the
no, no.
podcast and we'll make Rukshan.
Well, I've got a question here related to what you guys are talking about.
Favorite children?
No.
Oh.
How do you remember all your children's nieces and nephews' names? Do you know?
I don't.
Do you remember their names? Is it awkward sometimes when you see all
I
these
know
kids?
because the problem is that they're not in Australia. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
that
so
would be challenging.
so the ones in Australia I know them, and then the other ones like we just had. So my mother's 70th birthday was over the summer holidays, and we all went there. So
You still didn't answer how old she was when she started. How old is
I
the
pivoted
oldest?
from that question because I have no idea. I think maybe
How
she was
old-
21.
How old is the oldest?
So I'm the middle by age. So I'm 38. My oldest sister is 48. My youngest sister is 28.
Do the math. I don't do math. So what's 70 take away 48? Because that's how old she was when she started.
Oh, true. She was 70. I just said my mum's 70th.
Yep.
70
I don't do
minus
maths. I
48,
can't do that.
22. 22.
Oh, there you go. She's 22.
Is that right? 22. Yeah.
You went to Rukshan.
I went to
'cause he's just
Rukshan.
like-
He's like the Indian. He knows stuff like that. So we all went there for the 70th.
Yep.
So most of the siblings with a bunch of the kids. So there ended up being 70 of us in a kibbutz in the north. We all ended up getting COVID on that. Like we've been building this up for so long, and we all ended up getting COVID on that weekend, and no one wanted to admit they were sick.
Mhm.
So we were just like drinking. I was drinking whiskey
Yeah.
just to kill. Anyways, but yeah, like I was meeting a lot of my nieces and nephews for the first time in my life.
That makes sense though, because especially when you live in different countries,
Yeah.
Like why would you cross paths?
Yeah.
The trouble too is you probably got name double ups. There's probably
A
kids
lot,
that
'cause
are
it's
like
Jew
called the same.
names,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
they're like, and they're really like from a certain sex. So it's everyone's got.
Yeah.
I can just say a couple of names and I'll get them right.
Mm-hmm.
But
Just
I got to
guess.
admit, in each family, I have a favorite.
Yeah. Okay.
Like especially the ones overseas. Like there's one that I like. He or she is my like. I love them. Like they're like funny. I think they're like the little naughty ones.
I told you everyone has a favorite.
Yeah.
Child to some
100%.
extent.
Not me though. I love you. I love you equally.
Who's the favorite? Is it Bibi? No. Okay. No, it's none of them. You're not gonna. Okay.
Someone just said,
What did someone say?
they said, kick him off, Rukshan. Avi's taken over. It's all about him.
I was gonna say it's just been us
In
back
true
and forth
Israeli
with
terms.
you.
And then
and
someone
you're-
actually wrote, this is Sydney's more interesting.
Oh.
Rukshan is better looking, but you are the greater author, Avi. I don't know what to make of this.
I'm the only author.
They want to see your handsome face.
You are quite photogenic.
Thank you.
They'll be disappointed in real life.
You know what? This is one of those things too where they'll be like, "Oh, you're so handsome," and they meet you in real life, and they're like, "Wait a minute, I thought you were gonna be taller." Oh, that happens to Avi all the
every
time.
That would
time.
happen all the time.
You see that all the time when we walk
100%.
around and they're like, the first thing people say to me is, I
You
thought
look
you...
taller on the internet.
And I'm like, dude, all I do is make fun of my own height. Like, surely you know I'm short.
Dude, when we first started hanging out,
Oh, that was bad.
and you were just like this lady, and you would bring it up all the time, and I never thought about how tall I was until I started spending time with a person who is probably a certifiable munchkin. Like when they think of Oompa Loompas, you're what comes to mind for me. If we painted you that orangey color, there we go. You can jump in the chocolate fountain.
Like it is. It's one of those things, you know. Like I was blessed, as my mum says, with very good looks, very big brains, now writing ability, just no height.
You can go to Turkey though and
I
smash
would
your
bloody
legs
do
up.
it.
And
I
would ya?
would do it.
Would ya? Okay.
It's the only thing in life.
People hang shit on these dudes, and I think,
I would do it.
lady, you get your breasts
I would do it.
augmented
I would
and
do
your
it.
nose
If it wasn't like that
augmented.
expensive, and maybe not in Turkey,
Right.
but like if it was available here and it didn't cost that much, I would do it.
Would you
I
actually?
hate, like that's the one thing I hate in life. I hate seeing the world from down here. I bet you it's so much prettier up where you are.
Yeah, the air, it's clearer. The air is definitely clear up this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just jumping back to the comments, someone asked actually, is there going to be an audio version?
Yeah, so
And who's going to read the audio version?
I'll do it.
I read it already. I already recorded
Oh,
it.
did
Do you
ya?
want to do it? Can you do it? Because I sucked. I have to go back.
You know
and,
what?
I think I got to redo a bunch of chapters because, like, what happened was I've never done it before, and I tried to listen to a couple to get a style of doing it.
it depends on like what vibe you want to go for.
So I sounded really robotic at the beginning, but I started at the end. So
You got to get into it.
I'm
though.
natural at the beginning. Then I get into this Speedy Gonzales kind of like I was getting tired of reading it, and then at the end I'm really robotic because it's where I started. So it's going to take you on a wild ride, but I've done it. I've got to listen back to it and maybe redo a couple. It was really difficult.
You should go and listen to some of the romance books and the way that they're read. Like,
do you think I should read it like this? And then I took drugs.
critics accuse me of being an attention seeker. I'm the 10th of 17 children born to my mother within 20 years.
All right, Sydney's going to do a second version. So the answer to that question is you can either get paid to listen to mine or pay to listen to Sydney's.
Honestly, if you crowdfunded for it, I would do it. Crowdfund for Sydney to read the book. I'll read it like this the whole time.
Oh my God.
I'll just whisper into the. This is because I've always wanted to do ASMR to give me an opportunity.
Really?
Yeah.
It was the worst. I'm going to put a photo. I'll put a photo on Instagram tomorrow maybe of me recording the audiobook. Did I send it to you? I'm in the closet.
Oh, no.
Did you see it?
No.
Oh, like I'll put it on Instagram, but like
To soundproof yourself?
Yeah, well, just because of you have to have like there's real strict rules around the recording of it, and I'm in the closet, and then I shared it in the Rebel like in our Slack, and I said, I'll come out of the closet by the end of the week. I guarantee
I'm
it.
just glad that you went back in, honestly.
Yeah.
It's where you should be at this point. Pride who? Never heard of her.
So
Aren't you
homophobic.
guys glad you invited me in?
Sweet, very interesting.
Any more comments?
Oh, look, there's a lot of comments. I'm just.
There's no cues. You have no cues.
No. It's all kind of people telling me to read the book.
People telling you
to read the book.
Yeah.
Good
Oh,
on
someone
you.
asked me, Rukshan, how did you meet Avi?
It was
Yeah.
a protest. I remember
That was a protest.
I
yeah.
think it's in the book.
It's in the book. Yeah, read the
Do
book.
you want to know how I met Rukshan? And spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Grinder.
It's in the
It
book.
explains a lot.
It's in it's in the book. But there's I don't remember what I was going to say. So what? So they're telling you to read the book, but you've read it.
No. They're telling me to do the voiceover for the book.
Oh, can we hear a little bit of a taste?
Do you want a preview?
Yeah, give us a preview. Give him his book. 'Cause
I don't think I can.
if I
read a
pass
book.
him my version that I paid for, he's gonna steal it.
Ooh,
I don't think I'd make a good book reader.
I think you
But
would.
do it in English,
It's a
not
nice
Sri
voice.
Lankan.
I think I'm screwing up your thing on the floor here, man.
That's
I'm
all
sorry.
right.
Oops.
A few minutes later, the police exited and reassured me that the man understood that threatening to publish my address online was not okay.
No,
I
Sydney
left and
does it
thought,
so much
nah,
better.
yeah, I can't do it, guys. I'm so
Sydney
sorry.
does it so much better. He ruined it. I actually I want to delete that sentence from my book.
Ah, Rukshan. I didn't think. Listen, you don't have a career in audiobook
Yeah.
reading, but that's okay. You have a bright future ahead of you in wedding photography. Tremendous.
No, he doesn't.
That's pretty much done as well.
Yeah, he's done.
So that's like kaput. You're not.
No.
No.
That's still happening. But
But he's slowly killing it.
Yeah.
He filmed my wedding. Did I tell you? He filmed my wedding.
Yeah, I heard
you were there. You
he
saw it.
charged an inordinate
20
amount.
grand
he
up
never
front.
sent it to you. He told you to
20
go
grand
F
up front.
yourself.
20
I
grand
heard he
up front.
sent you
That's the
fish in the
going rate
mail.
for a wedding, 20K. So just remember
No,
that.
he said that was mates rates. 20
Okay, on
grand.
a serious note, like how much does a wedding photographer actually charge? Like what's the general
What's the grift?
What's the grip for the
Yeah.
weddings?
What's the
Yeah.
thing?
I would say in Australia, between $6,000 to $10,000.
And that's like everything. Here's your finished product with your
Just
little video.
photography. But this is the thing, like most people don't understand, weddings is an artistic endeavor. So
Yeah.
technically, you can charge whatever people are willing to pay you for what you're doing for
So
your
you
time.
can just throw out any number and they could go, yeah.
No,
done.
if they really want you to,
Yeah.
be a part of that, and you have something to offer that's artistic and creative,
Ah.
it's unlimited, really, in terms of.
I do think photographers are, and not the ones that like people go on about like in Vogue and stuff. Oh, he sold blah blah blah. No, none of that. But like real life people who take like really beautiful pictures, I think are awesome, and I'm so envious.
Yeah, I mean, for a wedding, I think we don't realize now, but later down the track, 10, 15, 20 years from now,
Yeah.
that's when those moments are valuable.
Yeah,
So if you get someone
you captured
decent,
it.
right, someone like Rukshan to capture it, it makes a difference, right? Like
Yeah.
I think that's very valuable, and you can't really put a price on it. Like
Mhm.
these days, people spend crazy amounts of money on like flowers and all this type of thing, cakes and stuff. But at the end of the day, all you have left is your wedding photos and wedding videos. And
Yep.
you know.
Well, I would if you would actually have.
I actually gave it to
Produced it.
Avi to edit it.
Yeah, he gave me it on files. He goes, because I was like, where is it? And he goes, here,
Dude,
raw files.
at least he's not freaking outsourcing to you. We would make videos way back when, and Avi would be like, you can edit that, right? Fine. I'll edit it, you dumb
I didn't know how to
BITCH.
edit.
Yes, you did. You're so full of no. You would just outsource. You're like, I'm a cute little Avi. I don't know how to do anything. Oh, and then everyone does things for you.
Do you remember that? You remember that video you made for your journalism course on me?
Christ. When I wrote a couple forewords, and that was one of them that I mentioned in one copy, and then I mentioned something else in another one, and then obviously we ended up with the one we ended up with. But people don't realize that I thought I was going to fail that subject because of you.
Why?
Because I was like, Avi's well known. I dare say that the teacher or
Oh,
the
they'd
professor
hate
that I
me,
had, would be like, why is this guy your journalism piece? Because I had to make I can't even remember the context now, but I had to make
Yeah,
some
like a
video.
story,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
For one of my classes,
Yeah,
one of my courses. Oh my God. I genuinely worried about that.
Did you pass?
Yeah.
He was too
Actually did
scared
really
to fail
well.
you.
I actually did really well.
So
in
you
that
did
subject.
well because of me.
I think it was because I edited all day long anyway. So doing like an editing-esque subject was like
You're
easy.
welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, just got another question in here. It's pretty interesting. They want to know if this cover here has been photoshopped.
Has that been?
Have you photoshopped your muscles, increased something here, made yourself more buffed?
No. Benji's the one. Benji did it. Benji's behind the camera there.
Yeah.
Benji, did you make me more buff, or was that just easy artwork to work with? That's with the camera. This with the camera.
It's with the camera.
the
Benji's
flashes,
saying with the camera.
No, I'm just a natural beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a natural born killer. Is that what it is,
Yeah.
lady killer?
Listen, he took it from down this angle, so I look bigger.
I think it's fairly representative. This is when I saw the picture, I was like, you have a sleeve? When did that happen?
through COVID.
Yeah, and then you were like, oh, you good on the tattoos when we couldn't go outside.
Yeah, my tattooist is a legend, Benny.
Do they?
He was not open during. He was not tattooing illegally during COVID.
Absolutely not.
No,
He's a very,
he was law abiding.
yeah, he loves the law. No one loves the
All
law
of
more
these.
than
It was
him.
like, do you remember? Do you remember one of the videos where that? Were you filming that, Benji? Where in COVID, the cop goes to me, oh, that's pretty, because it was like lockdowns months on end,
Yeah.
and there was no barbers open, no hairdressers. He's like, oh, yeah. He goes, oh, that's a pretty fresh haircut.
Mhm.
Shut up. He did not.
He did, but he was like a banter. He was a good cop. He goes, I go, oh, those look like pretty fresh muscles. What gym have you been?
Yeah.
But like the funny thing is, it was like Rhonda was cutting my hair at home.
Yeah.
Like it was just funny because it looked like I'd just gone and broken more rules.
Dude, I don't understand. Like when you guys talk about this stuff, it's like a different dimension to me that you were in.
Australia was messed up. I have 5 siblings in Miami, and they would literally
Life
just
is just-
taunt me.
Yep. Dude, I would call home. I would speak to my family, and they were all very depressed. And we would be doing stuff and going out, and I would be sending them pictures. And at the time, I would just be doing it because I like sending photos and sharing what I'm at, where I'm at, what I'm doing. At the time, I didn't realize that was such a crappy thing to do because I was like, look, we're at this bar. Like, we're going to try this like weird on fire
Heartless.
grape
I've always
juice.
thought she was a bit heartless.
And now looking back, I'm like, oh my God, like my family was sitting at home, couldn't leave. We're like scared of police. Like, I can't believe what talking to Aussies and hearing them say how fearful they were of the cops and still are. I'm like, what the hell, man? Australia is like, it freaks me out because I want to move back at some point. And I feel like unless Australia sorts itself out in terms of giving people rights, I don't know how to live in this country. Like I can't believe like some of the legislation that's on the table right now in relation to the misinformation and disinformation. Have you seen all that?
Yeah.
Have we seen it?
Yeah.
Who do you think it's targeting?
It's horrifying.
Rukshan.
Yeah.
Specifically,
Yeah.
you're actually named in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have been named in some like,
100%.
It's horrifying, and I think like you don't even have you have no right to speech. You have no right to movement, and that's so weird because that's actually it's so funny I say that and contradict myself. That's a right that's it's a constitutional
but during
right.
the pandemic it was challenged and
they just shit all over all these things, and I just go,
what's his name? Palmer, because it is enshrined in the Constitution
It is,
the right of movement, that they can't shut states down. That is the whole point of being a federation. But when he challenged it, and his challenge is what's essentially screwed all, because in our cases, in our constitutional challenges, it was the Palmer case that they used against us, but it was just like ridiculous.
Oh, so did they shoot it down?
They shut down there's not one.
Dude, but that's the other thing though, is you have to have a court system and a justice system that is responsible to the Constitution, because if you're not, and it's not responsible to anything, then you have no basis in law. Like,
it's madness.
It's so crazy. I love Australia more than anything. Like, I really love this country.
Yeah.
But it scares the crap out of me legally.
Oh, it's scary compared to,
dude, the States
ironically,
is jacked,
America.
Yeah, I know. America's like mental right now. and I feel better about doing insane stuff.
You're in Texas, aren't you?
Yes. Lots of illegals. Wow. They're all over the
Are
place.
you the illegal or I don't know?
Yeah, I crawled across the southern border.
So Texas. So where you are, there's lots of illegal. Is it all of Texas? I've never been to Texas.
What's your question?
Are the illegals everywhere? Like, is that
Now? Yeah,
Yeah.
like now, people make jokes. Like I was talking.
what about the hillbillies? They're all there, no?
Yeah, there's a lot of-
I
there's
was
a lot
doing
of
the accent at
rednecks.
dinner the other night, and you weren't very impressed with my. I
Yeah.
got myself a gun and I've got no teeth.
You sound like you have like sand in your mouth.
Because that's how they sound.
Yeah. Because I'm dating a Texan and I make fun of him.
He doesn't sound like
He doesn't.
that.
No, I know he doesn't, and I wish he did because he's friends. I love hanging out with them. They have the cutest little accents, and they're so Southern sounding, or so Texan.
I love the Southern.
Me too.
And when they sing slow Southern country music.
Yep.
You once created a list, but you didn't like.
Did I?
Yeah, but
Oh, I did. I sent you like a.
no, you sent me but you didn't. You got to create me a Spotify list.
I will do it because you know what
I
I
like
discovered.
slow, real Southern.
Okay.
Like,
All right,
I'm
I
the-
got one for you.
yeah.
Randy Rogers Band. It's a Texan band.
No, but
Very
you don't
good.
just give me a band.
All right,
I
all
want
right. I'll make
a
you.
few
I'll make
songs.
you a
Like,
list.
make me
I'll do it.
a Spotify list and share it.
I will. Okay.
Lucky that we did this on. This is that we've just had one of our domestics.
People ask me all the time because whenever I recommend songs, people are like followers and things have been like, Sid, make a public Spotify playlist.
Oh, yeah, that's a
like,
good idea.
Do it. And I'm like, no, I don't know how to work Spotify. So
Oh, don't you use Spotify?
I do, but I don't know what I'm doing. It's one of those things where I'm like kind of disabled.
So what you do is you press the button.
Yeah. And is there a playlist?
It's funny. It's like
button?
Rhonda does not know. Like, oh my god. Let me just breathe. So like she'll call me. She goes, she can't figure out. I go, okay. So what you got to do is you got to turn the computer
Is it on? Yeah. Is the green light?
And the scary thing is she always blames it on her age, and then her son has the same sickness.
Sounds like me.
Yeah.
It sounds like me.
They're like, does it like? How do I go there?
I'll do it. I'll do it
Yeah,
because
do it. It's not that hard, and it will help people out like me that really. I actually like it, but I can't. I don't have the time or energy to go
that's fair.
find the songs.
Sometimes-
Rukshan, are there any comments? And what
Oh, look,
time is it?
I mean, there's a good question here. That's a general question. Question to the panel: Who do you guys find inspiring, or which public voices do you find most inspirational on these times?
That's loaded these days.
I
There's
guess
been a
there's
lot of disappointments.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's putting it mildly.
Yeah. I guess people say that about you.
But can we find inspiration in our political leaders? Like, what's the go these days?
Inspiration. I think you can be inspired by parts of people.
Mm.
I think idolizing
That's actually a nice
anyone
way of putting it.
specifically is a mistake because you'll always be let down at the end.
People are just even people that you see publicly, they're still human
Yeah.
beings who have lots of faults and flaws and do dumb things and run into all the walls or barriers in Avi's case.
She loves those barriers.
I'm not the right person to ask because I'm extremely black-pilled towards like political anything. I it's sad because I wish we could go back to the Jordan Peterson like hype era because I thought he back then was like so great for so many reasons, and I feel like since that I don't even know who's worth emulating these days or looking up to.
But that's my point. I think looking at it that way is the wrong way to look at it. And I remember idolizing people, and probably like my barrier bashing days was probably because I was copying what I was seeing.
Yeah.
I think
Is a question like who's not a butt? Like who has some good
but
ideas?
I think even some of the butts, as you put it, some of them you can look at some of their qualities and go, oh, that's a cool quality. And it's actually a concept that I remember learning as a kid from Jewish studies was like you're meant to learn even off a thief. Like you're meant to learn off somebody bad, the good quality.
Yeah.
So take the good quality. What is it that they have that you can go? And like it sounds cheesy, but I think it's true. Everybody has faults. Like
Yeah.
so looking at anyone and thinking they're going to save the world and they're going to no. get behind. If somebody's like consistently going in a direction that you believe, then support them, get behind them, and don't be disappointed when they maybe fall down a little bit,
or they act like a human,
and then but just expect it. They're going to do things that are going to annoy you or disappoint you.
No, I think that's actually like a nice perspective. Yeah, I think it's like learning honesty from like the liar type of thing, like what not to do, or taking cues from someone who has something. Because like there are some people who I think have a really good take on some things. Like a really like super basic example is like Matt Walsh. I fundamentally hate, like vehemently disagree with probably about 70% of what he says. I'm like, no, Matt, be quiet, please. Stop. I don't know him as a person, can't comment, but his takes, I'm like,
I don't watch enough to know that I haven't seen much I don't like.
They're so, they're just so, ugh. But when he gets it right and when I agree with him, I'm like, oh yeah, like I really agree with that. Like that's a really good take. Like that's a bold position. Like hell yeah.
Can you send me his bad takes because I want to see it?
You're gonna. I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna be like, because behind the scenes, you guys don't realize. Avi will be like, "That's really cringe, Sydney," but he won't say anything about it. He just tells me that he thinks something's cringe
publicly.
You would never say it publicly
about others.
Oh no, just about like someone, a take that someone has. You don't disparage people.
Yeah, because I look, there was 5 years ago I would have, but
now
I
you're
realized
that's a really cringy position to have.
Let them do their thing, but you learn. But I guess my answer to his question is kind of what I taught myself. Is like people are going to be disappointing, and you mentioned Jordan Peterson. Like I think he has a lot of great stuff.
I think he does too.
But then I also look at like I went to his show here with Rukshan. And like I was really unimpressed. I really just wanted to go home.
I think but that's the thing is like he, like a human being, fell off because things happened. He got sick. His relationship, I believe, was in jeopardy for a little bit. His daughter has chronic, issues as well, like with health and stuff. And so it's like these people are just going through people stuff, fall off, and maintaining an audience who just do. I mean, I know you both know this. Audiences are so aggressively critical of everything.
But that was packed out. I think that was his biggest event. I think I was just disappointed. I was just disappointed because it was just like, I don't know. I felt like he was winging it on the night, and I was just not interested in what he was talking about.
He may have been. I mean, he may have just been having it off. That's the thing is like,
you never know.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I watch heaps of his stuff, and I think he has really good takes, and he's pretty solid on his position, even when like the right wing. A good example is Israel, and he sits there and he says what he thinks, and then some of his base turn around and go, "Oh my god!" and they turn on him for it, but he won't waver. So I respect that.
Yeah.
And I respect that in any group, even if it's not specific, even if it's an issue that I disagree with, as long as you're consistent and you keep doing it.
Yeah.
And you don't bend your position based on your following, because that's, to me, I find that cringe. And so many people do it.
Yeah, a girlfriend of mine actually, when I was like kind of struggling with a couple of things, because I was like, I am starting to agree a lot with some, I don't even know how to articulate it, but I was like moving away from like a lot of the right-wing viewpoints and just kind of moving into like a libertarian-esque, like very libertarian-esque, like semi kind of liberal on some things, but not really like left-wing on some. Not left-wing, you know what I mean?
Libertarian.
Just libertarian.
Which is liberal at points.
Like classic liberal in some capacity, but still
sometimes.
right on some issues, but just kind of becoming a holistic human being with all these different ideas. And I was talking to one of my girlfriends, actually, who's a content creator. And I said, like, I'm scared because I really care about what I say. I really want to articulate these things, but I don't want people to turn around and like attack me for growing. And I was like worried about it because there's some things I still want to say publicly, and I'll get there. And she said, make content for the audience you want, not the audience you have.
Yeah, that's good.
And I thought that was so poignant because at the time I was so angry at everything. And I was like, this is when at the height of all of my crap going down. I was mad all the time. I was full of hate. It was not a nice place for me to be. And I wanted to say all this stuff. And obviously I've cooled my jets now and I'm a lot more relaxed. And having her say that, like, hey, people who get it are going to be around. They're just going to get that you're growing and changing and becoming a human being. That's fine. The people who don't get it will just drift away. And so you're exactly right. Like it's cringe to be beholden to ideas that you don't actually have in order to keep an audience that you don't actually like.
It's so transparent. Like maybe not to everyone, but I see it. Like when somebody's being fake about their position, I'm like, you don't actually believe that, bro.
Yep.
I can see it.
Yep.
It's like a show.
It's
And
terrible.
there's no problem being an entertainer. I do that. Like, I love putting on a performance,
Mhm.
but I can't sit there and pretend like like, Rukshan, have you watched any of Rukshan's content?
Yep.
Shocking.
He's so fakey fake boy.
Cringy.
Just wait.
He's getting ready. He's gearing up his.
Have you got a
expose.
cue? What time is it?
I think.
I think
People are done listening to Avi's sulking about himself.
We stopped talking about the book like an hour ago,
Yeah.
which to me I
Sulking.
find offensive.
I have a question. Or this is a question that a couple of people raise all the
Yeah.
time, even with me.
Yeah.
I'll just pull it up.
This feels like it's going to be a hard one.
No. Avi, how about that video of you pushing the COVID narrative, you leftist?
Ooh, you did address that.
No, yeah, I address it in the book.
Yeah.
I do address it in the book.
You do.
So it was funny because we were talking about this earlier, right?
Yeah.
Because somebody commented on your tweet
That I shared it,
today, and they're like, "Oh, well, Avi won't talk about the time he promoted the vax, the video of him promoting the vax." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Can I see that video? Because I know it doesn't exist because that never happened." And I knew what they were referring to was one video in May of 2020. So what happened for me? My experience with COVID was like before, in the beginning. So before, when it was like COVID-19, like December 2019, already beginning of January, because I was supposed to be going to Hong Kong and I was talking to them in Hong Kong, and then it got pushed because the virus, COVID had just hit Hong Kong from mainland China, and they were telling me then, it'll be a few weeks, and they had experience with SARS and all that, so they were like. And I was saying, "Oh, guys, it's just like a bad flu." Like, yeah, that was my position, right? Then March 2020, things got hectic, right, around the world, everywhere. Yeah. Lockdown everywhere. And I supported that first lockdown because we didn't know anything. No one knew anything. And I was like, but I still was saying it was personal responsibility. Yeah. And this is March 2020, in that first lockdown. And I had two elderly, like a great uncle in New York and a great uncle in Israel that had died at the time. They were saying from COVID, it was with COVID, and it was like, God, this is going to kill everyone. So I was like, I put a video out, guys, take personal responsibility. That's the video. Yeah, that's like, I'll wear a mask. What does it bother me to wear a mask if it's going to protect someone else? If you can work at home, work at home. If you're going to get, this is March 2020. It was probably that stance lasted me about 3 weeks. And then I was like, when the data started to come out, I was like, this is a scam.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, nah. But these, it's funny because that video gets replayed by a different group of bad faith actors that come. So they're from like the truthers, the cookers. The cookers.
But people change their minds.
No, and that's
right?
fine. That's fine, and I own that.
Yeah, I'm supporting you in that. Like, it's so weird to think that, and the COVID thing is always going to piss people off because it was so aggressive for so long, and so many people's lives got destroyed. And if for like 3 weeks at the front end, and I'll give that to you, for 3 weeks at the front end, if you bought into it and were like, yo, nah. Fine. No one, people had very little information. Some of us knew from the start it was crap, but some of us took a little bit longer.
Did you never think it was bad?
I made one. Okay, a girlfriend of mine was pregnant and she wanted to give birth. This is I promise there's a point to me bringing this up. A girlfriend of mine was pregnant, wanted to give birth with her husband in the room. This was when all this was starting. It was March. It was
March. So this is the same period as this video.
And she was like, go and get a COVID test because I was sick. And I had been hanging out with him, and then I got really sick. And so she was like, go get a test. And I was like, fine. So I went and got a test, and then I made a video about getting it. And I was like, here's what happened when I went and did this. But I didn't do it because I thought I was sick. I didn't do it because I was worried about being sick. I did it because my friend was pregnant, and I was trying to do her solid. And I thought I can make content out of this because it's popping off. Maybe I can help people, explain what to expect. Never bought into it. Always thought it was crap from day one because I read an article that I can't think. It begins with E. Epidemi. Oh, what are they
Epidemiologist.
That this guy
We've
had
all
written.
forgot
We
that
forgot
word
about the
now.
epidemiologist.
That he'd written where he said this is probably going to be just a bad flu,
Okay.
and I read that and I was like, I'm convinced. that's all
Yeah.
I need to see. And then life continued on as normal. And so yeah, from day one I was like, blah. But the point is, like, if you change your perspective, I don't know why people act like that's such a bad thing.
Look, I think it's a good thing. I think it just shows, it actually lends more credibility to your criticism later on if you can
Yeah.
see both sides. Like, I had the same type of experience, but for me it was more around what the government was doing that I saw ended up being wrong.
Yeah.
They weren't taking accountability for the decisions they were making.
Right.
So for me as a business owner, when it all went down, I was like, okay, cool. I'll support the government. I'll support the community. I'll kind of play along with this thing because that's what everyone's doing.
Yep.
Our families, our parents, everyone is kind of doesn't know what's going on. Everyone's like, okay, cool. Let's work together as a community.
Mhm.
And everyone, I think most people, 99% of the population is happy to do that.
Yep.
But once you see that you do that and they don't reciprocate, they don't, give you respect as an individual, as a business owner, or as a citizen with their decisions when they make mistakes, then you got to start questioning, okay, are these people just taking us for a ride? And that's really where it changed for me, going from someone that was for doing whatever the government was saying to help the community, then to being like, why are they doing this? Why are they arresting people at protests? Why are they treating people like this? Like,
Why do they say one thing and do another?
Do one thing and do another. They don't back up what they're saying with science.
Yep.
They keep pulling out all these people on TV, and next, every second day they're saying something different.
Yep.
I mean, as someone that's just looking at it, it doesn't seem right. So I think that's okay. I think a lot of people did that, and some people it took them longer to get to that point.
Yeah.
But I think that overall that's okay, and I think the fact that people keep using these older videos of you or me, talking about these things at that time, you have to understand over a period of time, you have to react to what's in front of you.
I'm like, just look at the video. You can see it was because I remember just before COVID hit is when I had my heart attack.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I didn't look I look like a different person. It's like you can see that video. It was me early 2020 and I was doing what I thought was right then, but you're questioning my resolve through COVID in Australia. You're questioning where I stood.
Yeah.
That's from that small there's a tiny minority from the cookers. That's the cookers you were talking about.
Yeah.
Those guys on the fringe that absolutely everything is a conspiracy, including Avi Yemini through COVID. That's like that. Those guys have gone so far off the rails that it's just like you can't have a conversation. And there's no point in the conversation because if you say something they don't like, you're controlled opposition. And it's like, mate, I don't have time for you because I'm actually talking to the majority of people, and the majority of people are not caught in this echo chamber of either the culture wars or whatever.
Yep.
Most people are just living their life and they dip in, they watch a bit of your content, they find it entertaining, and hopefully you open their eyes to something. But like these people that, today I only engaged with that one because I found it funny because I knew what they were confusing. They were confusing me talking about masks and social distancing in March of 2020 and confusing that with me talking about telling people to get jabbed in 2022. It's just like completely different things.
Yeah. But the craziest part of all of this, some of the people that criticize you for these change of views are people who are all for whatever the government did, but they have no kind of criticism of the government changing their mind every couple of weeks.
Oh, you're right. Some of the
what I mean?
Well, some of the people that use that are there's two groups that use that. There's those that are the cookers. They didn't like the government. They never liked the government. Then there's also like the lefties that go, I see when Avi used to promote the narrative. And you're right. Yeah. They literally do whatever the government says, even if the government says two contradicting things in the same freaking sentence.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's just weird though, because like I think this is part of why media is so dishonest in a way, because no one will let you change your mind and no one will let you grow and be wrong. Like it's so weird to me that people act like the people that they're listening to, especially politicians and things, are like infallible.
Yeah.
It's like No one is. I'm fairly certain.
But it's a sign of our times, right,
Even
Sydney? Like
ChatGPT?
there's so much video content now. There's like everything that someone says is recorded.
Yeah.
They put up videos of them saying all sorts of stuff, and then a few months from now, you look back on that,
Yep.
and it seems a bit crazy once we know a bit more information.
Dude, seriously. I mean, even you look back on like when you'll get to this point when you've been making content for a really long time and all your stuff is on the internet. Like I look back on some of my early stuff and I'm like, I hate me. I hate this.
I look at my old stuff. I'm like, mate, listen, mate, like, dude, chill out.
It's so I'm the same way. I cringe. I can't. My people write me and they'll be like, I watched your whole catalog of videos and I'm like, oh God, why? And then slowly I have the really embarrassing ones that I'm like, oh God, or the ones that I think are going to get mass reported. I've started hiding because I just like either A, I'm so embarrassed, not of what I'm saying, but just the editing and stuff. I'm like, no. I've privated a couple of those because I'm like, this doesn't need to be on the internet any longer. This is too embarrassing.
Rukshan, you can private some of your stuff.
And perhaps this book, it will end up like that one day.
Privated.
Avi will hide this in some corner, never to be seen.
In the bookshelf.
But this is how all this started, guys. This is how everything started. We are here today to promote Avi's book. Well, not specifically, but that's how it's ended up. And you can get the book at rebelfromthestart.com. How good is that?
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
You did it. You nailed it.
I might even sign your copy now.
Yeah. So what's the story now for this book, Avi? What's next? What are you doing with this? You going?
So
somewhere?
we're doing the tour. So we're going to start in New Zealand. Are you going to come with me?
Yeah. It's interesting prospect.
I think we should invite Posey Parker for round 2.
Yeah. I think Posey Parker, Avi Yemini. I'll come film, and it'll be really interesting. We should get that happening, right?
I reckon.
Yeah.
But no, I am really excited for New Zealand. So that's what's next. Is
I got it up here. So Auckland on the 25th.
Auckland, then Wellington, and exclusive just for the podcast. But I think on the Monday after that in Wellington, so that's Saturday. So probably on Monday we'll do the Melbourne one. So Melbourne will be 3rd.
Okay.
We haven't announced it yet, but I think that's what we're going to do. Ezra's going to be coming to those ones, so he'll come down here as well. We'll do one in Melbourne. You're not invited.
That's right.
Sydney, are you going to come? Can we do one in Texas?
Oh, I was literally just going to say, are you coming to the States and will they let you back in after you got sent? Honestly, you're brown enough. You could just climb across the border.
Listen, if I don't get a visa now, I'm just going to go across the border.
They'd let you, mate. They would. They'd be like, nah.
I'll even do like Mexican work. Do you know when
just
they
learn
detain?
a couple Spanish phrases.
When they
taco.
No, I used to watch
Taco
Dora the Explorer with the kids.
Vamos.
Vamos.
You could. What do I know? I only know one thing in Spanish. It's bad, and it's me gustan los churros. Or maybe it's just churro. I don't know. Anyway, I like churros.
Oh.
I like churros.
I really thought that this was something that was going to get the whole show banned.
I was like, what is she saying?
I was like, why is she going to say that?
No, I only know a couple useless phrases in other languages. That's one.
Vamos. But yeah, if not, I will just become Mexican. When I got detained that time in LAX, they put me in that thing, and it was all Mexicans. I should have just befriended them because they were coming back.
Probably cartel people. You could have been like, "All right, it's gonna be great. What we're gonna do is I'll get in the bus. You kill everyone, and I'll run." I think there are holes in the fence now. It's great. I'll drive down and collect you.
Don't kill me! Don't kill me! I've got 16 brothers and sisters, and one of them will hunt you down.
Yeah, exactly. They all look like me. No, really. If you came to the States and did, and especially to Tejas, you could sign some books.
No, we'll it's on the cards.
Rodeo.
It's on the cards. A few podcasts there while I'm there, but that's in the works. But for now, we think we've got. There we go, News Hub.
Oh yeah, News Hub. Let's bring that up. So they are excited in New Zealand that you're coming down. I think they're getting a bit excited.
They're starting to promote my book.
Yeah, so
scroll all the way down to the.
It's a nice photo of you.
I'll read the headline. Far right conspiracy theorist Avi Yemini allowed entry into New Zealand after originally being denied. So far right conspiracy theorist. That's a default go-to.
Where do they come up with this?
It's a default go-to.
Do you know what's so funny? Is like you're meant to try keep the headline concise.
Yeah.
But they're chucking in so many descriptors. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to go to your Twitter, but my thing won't load.
it's Rukshan's reception.
Damn it, Rukshan.
But look at that. Look at the last. Where is it?
I'll read it. What do you want me to read?
What does it say?
I like-
After learning he could come into New Zealand. The third last paragraph.
Okay. After learning he could now enter New Zealand, Yemini wrote on Twitter, Kiwi authorities messed with the wrong rebel. What more appropriate place could you think of to kick off my official book launch tour than the censorship capital of the world that failed to ban me? Yemini planned to visit Auckland and Wellington next month. And it's true, New Zealand is, in many ways, a censorship
100%.
capital.
And I get people writing comments like, "Oh, what about North Korea?" And I just find that so funny. It's like you're literally comparing yourself to North Korea. I think I've won the argument already. But what I find so funny about that is like they're literally just promoting my book.
I know they are.
I love them. I
Yep.
love News Hub. I love all the media. God bless you guys. Get so triggered. Keep crying. Kia ora. I've been practicing. Kia ora. Kia ora. How do you say it?
Oh, the hello, the greeting.
In Maori, yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Kia ora.
Is that it?
Is that right?
I think so. Kia ora.
Kia ora. You sound like an Aussie about
How do you
kia
say
ora.
it? Say it again.
Kia ora. Now I can't say it because I'm
Kia
thinking.
ora.
It's like when I did the audiobook, I suddenly couldn't pronounce the most basic words. It was, and
Dude, you
I was
know,
having Google, like I was like doing the sound thing.
have you ever seen or heard the video of Benedict Cumberbatch trying to say penguins?
No.
Oh my God, that's probably what you were doing. He starts off okay, sort of. It's like penguins, and then he ends up being like penguins, and then penguins, like penguins. It's so funny. You start to lose it though when you're.
You know what? Recording the audiobook was one of the worst things that sucked.
Have you ever had a moment where you're trying to film a video and you're trying to say a sentence and you keep screwing it up and you just have like 4 clips of you screaming at the microphone?
Benji's nodding. He's my cameraman.
Does he do that?
And he tells me off. And I'm
Dude.
like, Benji, if you think you can do it better, you do it.
It's so you start to like actually your brain
You get
starts to
mad.
become Swiss cheese and you
it's
just
the worst.
when I'm like sometimes because I script all my content because I have a lot of stuff I want to keep like and when I'm trying to say something and it's like really specific information that I need to get right because it's like I can't screw that up and I can't say it, I just end up being like fuck, and just leaving the room because I'm like nah. Drives me crazy. Yep.
You see, Benji, you get off lightly.
Yeah, you could have me just screaming fuck at your face and then leaving the room out of rage. It's bad.
I didn't want to hear your voice after a while.
Oh, that's right, because he was editing the audiobooks. I was recording him. He was editing it, and then and like Benji's real polite always when he writes me messages, but this one had a few profanities in it going. Like he was sick of hearing my voice,
Aww.
and I was like, "That's not a way to talk."
Did you screw it up that much?
What do you mean? Yeah. There was a point where I couldn't get full sentences out.
Avi, no, did you take breaks?
Breaks.
No, you just stood in the closet for like 3 hours reading.
No. It took me about average, I reckon, an hour a chapter.
Yes.
Yeah, about an hour a chapter.
Oh my God.
It was hell.
Oh my God.
It was hell. It was literally, and like it's not my gig. And I found myself at the end of them. Some of them, like I was screaming the chapter to the microphone. So I'm just going to tell you guys now. If you're waiting for the audiobook, stock up on Panadol. You may need it.
You should post some outtakes, honestly. I bet they're hilarious.
Yeah, but it's only audio.
Yeah, but you should. That's fine. You can just put your face in it. Just like edit it so it's like.
Just get it.
And it's
the
just you
AI to-
screaming. Yeah, no, exactly. You could just AI it too. Just
That was
screaming. Dude, that's so funny.
How are we looking? I reckon we're wrapping up
I
here
reckon
today.
We put everyone out of their misery.
Yeah. Well, Sid, thank you so much for writing the foreword. No, seriously, when you sent it to me, and like I found it hard to go, is it good or bad? Because it was like about me. Like I thought it was like really well written, and then I was like, but I don't know. And then I gave it to Rhonda, and she cried,
Yeah.
and I told you,
Yeah.
and she's like, oh my God, that's so good. That's so good.
Oh.
And I actually like what's interesting. I think it really resonates with women. like all the women I've given it to are like, oh my God, that's so good. Like they're
Yeah.
over the top.
That's
Where
nice.
men just want to just get into me with the police and the drugs and that. They're like, come on, get to the
They're like,
point.
"Tell
Abby.
me
What
about
did you
all
do?
of it."
But really, it means a lot that you did it.
It means a lot that
And,
you asked, though.
Well,
so-
now this is just getting a bit.
All right, we won't
Cringe.
be. We won't be. Yeah, we'll save that for
Let's just
we fight in the street later. Like, punch you in the head. Yep.
Takeaway from here, to people that haven't read it. First, all right, actually, I'll give you a couple, and you tell us. People that haven't read it yet, not sure, why should they read it?
Oh, you want me to like do an? Is this my camera?
Is that
am
a
I
camera?
Am I a camera?
That's the camera, yeah.
If you got eyeballs and you enjoy not feeling sad inside, you should read Avi's book because.
But my brother said it made him sad.
Well, let me say this, right? I'm Ivy's friend. I'm also incredibly critical of Avi. And if I read it and thoroughly enjoyed it and found it endearing, then I dare say that you, as other human beings with feelings and emotions and what have you, will also find it endearing. You learn a lot, which I think is nice. And it's not a book that makes you feel like someone's being a pretentious butthead. It's very relatable. And I think on that front, it's definitely worth reading. And it's worth reading because I wrote the foreword. So, I mean, that in and of itself.
And why should haters read it?
Because it's really enjoyable hate reading stuff that, you know, when you dislike somebody, you know, when you hate watch and you're just like.
There was a lot of downs in my life, so they'll get a lot of joy out of the downs.
100%. They'll be like, what? This kid like did intravenous drugs? Hell yeah. Does he die? Nah.
Loser, damn.
I feel like haters should just like enjoy it from the perspective that they get to listen to you suffer a lot.
Yeah, that's what I.
Yeah.
And why do you think Rukshan should read it again?
I'm never reading this book again. Once is good for me.
Because he's a glutton for punishment. That's why. He
No,
likes
but
to self-flagellate.
I would like to echo what Sydney said, and you know, whether you like Avi, whether you dislike Avi, whether you hate him with a passion, I still think you should read the book, because now when people tell me, you know, Rukshan, do you know about Avi, and you know, Avi this and Avi that, I'm just gonna be like, look, man, just go get the book and read it. You know, I think that's the best thing you've done since I've known you is write this book, because now I don't have to bloody worry about your all your crap.
But I like it. It's a good point though. Like
your
if somebody says, "Do you know this about Avi?" or something about Avi, go, "Have you read the book?" No, you haven't read the book. Come back to me when you've read the book.
Read
I'm
book.
happy to have a discussion about what's in the book.
Oh
Because
my
No,
God.
about Avi. I'm happy. I'm actually also to all of you that keep going on about my personal life, because you love to keep rehashing parts of my personal life that you have no idea about. I will discuss it openly any day with you, even out on the street when you're protesting and you want to bring up things you don't know anything about. Come armed with the facts at first. Learn at least, even if you don't believe me, my version of the story, and then we can talk about it on the street while you're angry, protesting the climate and the end of humanity, or the fact that not wearing masks is Nazi, or whatever silly thing you're doing. But first, read the book.
Yeah, I was going to say this is the equivalent of when someone's like, get educated. Go and educate yourself. Go and educate yourself. Yeah, if you're going to hate on Avi, go and
Just
educate yourself.
no. I reckon I give them so many more things to hate me for. Hate on me for. You got so much more content to
you
bag
have
me out.
given a lot of ammunition. It's true. It is true.
Well, Sid, love you. Rukshan, we put up with you for your studio.
I like you a lot, Rukshan. I
Thank you,
think you're
Sydney.
very lovely
Thank
and
you.
nice. I
Thank
don't know how
you.
you two work together. I'm glad I escaped.
That's got to be in my book one day. All of this.
How I got abused.
No, it's been good. I'm glad. Thanks for inviting me. I'm glad that we did this because it's you know, I miss hanging out with Australians. So it's nice. It's nice.
Thank you.
He's like, thank you. Which Australians?
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, both of you were incorrect.
The
on what that
ethnic
Australian-
Australians.
Yeah,
Look,
exactly.
multicultural Australia. You like to hang out with multicultural
And this is what the
Australians.
country's becoming. I mean, it's par for the course. Yeah, I'm the only white person in this room.
Yeah. How
Go
does that privilege feel?
I feel like a minority. I feel discriminated against.
On that note, thank you for your time. Tune in. You can go see our other episodes at, is it the opposition? The
I'll
opposition
pull it
dot
up here.
show.
The opposition.show. and at some point it will be on Spotify or something like this. We'll get around to doing that.
This will go. Actually, that's what I was supposed to put the
Yeah.
episode on their website. It'll be up there tomorrow. Love
Thanks,
you.
guys. Thank you so much.